Rising. Up the seam for Keithy in stride. He's got him out to midfield. Terrific throw from Cam Rising.
This is 365 Sports, powered by SicEm365.com.
Third down 10. Nice job.
Nice work. Scatterboo. Scatters in. Touchdown. Arizona State.
365 Sports is presented by IdealMRI.com. High-quality MRIs for $497 or less. IdealMRI.com. Your health is important, so is your budget.
Fafita, deep drop, deep throw to midfield, and right adjusted by McMillan. All that in like a punt returner to gain of 42.
365 Sports is also brought to you by Texas Farm Bureau Insurance, protecting Texans since 1952.
Sanders underneath complete. In space. Nice move. Hunter. Travis Hunter. Touchdown. T12.
Have you subscribed to our YouTube channel? Search 365 Sports on YouTube. Brought to you by TFNB, your bank for life.
First down, Preston Stone pressured. Gets rid of it to a wide open RJ Maryland. Still on his feet. Maryland to the house. Touchdown.
365 Sports is turbocharged by Unite Private Networks. Find out more at uniteprivatenetworks.com.
Another handoff, sweeping left. There goes Ott for a huge crease. Midfield for the freshman. Steps through a tackle. He'll take it the distance. On the second snap of the game, 73 to the house.
Now here's David Smoke, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoke.
And here we go on 365 Sports, and we have changed kind of the setup again. I'm still back over here offset. Paul and Craig are both on the set, 365 Sports, and a busy day today. A bunch of college football and athletics notes. We'll get to that. And a great lineup, too, that includes Bruce Feldman, SMU's Andy Enfield, Robert Giovanetti from Texas Tech. They unveiled their Adidas uniforms. Arizona State defensive lineman CJ Fite, JJ Joe, Baylor color analyst, and also Paul's top five. Guys, I don't know. We've had busy days. But today, from a coach in waiting to the media day schedule involving Big 12 schools, will be there next Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, to a bunch when it comes to conferences and changes and some official dates from today all the way into early August.
You know, for July 1st, I saw a site just recently tweet out a very lazy Mount Rushmore thing, and I thought, are you not reading any other websites today? Like, did you not notice that it's Realignment Day and, there's all these things moving around that we've been waiting for 2 years, and it's a great time to kind of even reflect on that and look forward as to what it means and see some of the ridiculousness that's out there social media-wise for these launches. The Longhorn Network and Pac-12 Network are over. Like, a lot of these things that happened it's pretty big news. Of course, for us, it's kind of what we've been talking about for 2 straight years, so maybe it's not as big of a deal, but it was a college football site that was like, what's on so-and-so's Mount Rushmore? I was like, oh, you guys are missing the boat today.
Yeah, maybe that was the AI doing
I guess
that.
So.
I've seen some of that here recently. It's pretty easy to spot, so maybe that's what it was. But, yeah, I mean, for a first day in July, there's not a lot more that you could ask for except for maybe, I guess, some of the rumors that have been floating out there for the past couple of months to come true, like a Florida State. I mean, there was smoke about, July 1st, right? So that seems like it's come and gone. That's still out there, though. I've seen, people still speculating on that front. So I just think with what we're rolling into it with and what's still out there possibly, that this is going to be a crazy month. I mean, when we've seen crazy stuff happen, when's it happened? It's happened in the month of July. So if there's crazy stuff to come, that wouldn't be all that shocking, but there is certainly feels like more on the plate on the first day of the month of July than there has been for quite a while, maybe ever, and that doesn't count all the other stuff that could happen. So, yeah, it's pretty cool, and we'll see if it can last the entire month. But certainly having media days getting started up here in a couple weeks will help add more fuel to that fire as well.
Utah's Kyle Whittingham is the head coach, but it appears at least that there's the thought that at some point down the road when he leaves, whenever that is, it seems like he's doing really well and feels pretty good. Morgan Scalley, the defensive coordinator, he's been at Utah now for, I think it's 17, 18 years, defensive coordinator. He is the head coach in waiting. When I first saw that, I was like, uh-oh, what's going on with Kyle Whittingham? But this is more of a preemptive move. We have seen this before. It did not work out for Will Muschamp at Texas, and maybe in other cases it has.
Well, it worked out for Jimbo Fisher. I mean, in two ways. He won a national championship at FSU, and then, he made more money than is godly possible for being an average coach at Texas A&M, and now he gets to make money for doing nothing. So, man, it's worked out for him. Didn't work out for Will Muschamp. For Kyle Whittingham, though, this is a guy, and we just heard it last week from when we had the Utah play-by-play guy on, is that this is a guy who's practical to a fault. So he's not going to be someone who would, if he thought this was a bad idea, do it, or if he wasn't at least seeing the finish line of what his career is going to be, do it either. It doesn't mean he's retiring right now, but it does mean that, there's a plan in place, and I think it's, keeping on with what they've done under Whittingham, and Morgan Scalley's been there forever and is probably the most likely to easy to keep on what their track is.
Yeah, I mean, this is not the first time we've seen a head coach in waiting. It's also not the first time we've seen Morgan Scalley in this role because he was in line to be the head coach in waiting again for the first time 4 years ago, and then there was a big to-do with racial slurs and text messages, and he got in trouble for that, got severely punished financially, and they backed away from that, and now they returned to it because he's paid his dues or whatever, has got over that. But yeah, this actually happened in 2020, and then that whole situation occurred. But I mean, beyond that, and I say that not to knock him, but just because that's facts, that's just factual. But he is a hell of a coach, and he has been at Utah a very long time, and you hear his name right off the bat when you talk to people about Utah and the program and their recruiting and their development and all those different types of things. This guy's been a stud for a while now. Not surprised that Utah's doing this because I do think that just based on nothing than kind of Kyle Whittingham's comments about realignment and whatnot, it's I just don't know how much longer he is for this world, So to me, this doesn't give you an end date, but it does say that the time sooner rather than later if you're naming a successor, And then again, you could say, well, he did it 4 years ago and he's still coaching and now he's doing it again. So maybe he coaches another 10 years, but I would, lean in the direction of there's a time ticking now on Kyle Whittingham if you're deciding to make this move and name Morgan Scalley your successor once again. But either way, I think Utah fans can rejoice because they know Morgan Scalley and how good he is, and you feel like your future's secure as far as the succession plan goes. So, yeah, cool to see that if you're a Ute, and good on Kyle Whittingham for kind of planning for the future, and Morgan Scalley for, doing what he's done to earn that opportunity.
All right, I'd like to take the Big 12 Media Days, that whole graphic, and move it back a little bit if we can. But they did today release the people, the players, of course, every head coach who will represent each of the Big 12 teams. Yeah, go ahead, Garrett, and put it up. We have a ton to get to. Bruce Feldman, we hit him at 3:30. But here's all the teams. There's, of course, now 16, and you can see the logo. You can then see the head coach at the top, and then there are two different pages of this. We can't wait. We'll be there on Tuesday and Wednesday of next week inside Allegiant Stadium, and also even there on Monday. You have Ollie Gordon, of course, who's going to be one of the favorites for the Heisman Trophy. If you look at page 2 with Baylor among some other schools that have who they have. Colorado, Travis Hunter, Shedeur Sanders, and Shiloh Sanders, and then their punter, Mark Bassett. But there's some pretty good names, and it does. Jalen Daniels from KU, some pretty good names of players who have an impact nationally, you would think, not just in the Big 12.
Yeah, I thought it was kind of surprising that Baylor's not bringing a quarterback again, but maybe that kind of leads into that they're having a competition. I'm very interested to see the the show that Deion Sanders and his crew are going to put on when they get there. But yeah, there's a lot of star power available there all across the board.
Well, speaking to the actual star power, I mean, Ollie Gordon is on there. Interesting, Avery Johnson's going to be there from Kansas State. I mean, not interesting that he is the quarterback,
right?
But just, he's young, so you don't know sometimes when they bring along those guys, but he will be there. Taj Brooks, obviously a big-time player from Texas Tech. Cam Rising, Brent Keithy, both returning and will be there as well. You mentioned the Colorado guys, but Noah Fafita and Tedero McMillan and Jacob Manu. I mean, Arizona's got themselves a hell of a contingent. And, Jalen Daniels, KJ Jefferson, RJ Harvey. I think it's going to be a great little setup. Garrett Green from West Virginia. Those are just some of the names that are probably the most recognizable and probably expected to be some of the better players in the league. But there's like 20 other guys as well that I'm not mentioning. So, yeah, when you have a conference that big and everybody's bringing 4 guys, there's going to be a lot of players there. There will be some big-time names that are going to be probably the ones that everybody's, anchoring to get, but we'll have our fair share, and I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to seeing how Colorado's presence kind of is. I'm looking forward to just seeing kind of a mixture of new teams and new faces, and being in Vegas itself will also certainly be new as well. So, it's going to be very interesting next week.
There's a bunch of star power. People sometimes maybe don't realize that, but there is. I was surprised that didn't Baylor last year have a freshman All-American defensive back who had a couple of big plays? He's not on that list.
Yeah, and everybody,
Caden Jenkins.
Yeah.
Everybody does it differently, on what they.
And there could be things that are could be where you have been working out, and you never know. But I'm not saying that there's a reason he's not there. But I was surprised he was not included.
Yeah, and look, sometimes you'll see somebody on the list, like for example, Colorado has 3 Sanders, Travis Hunter, who might as well be a Sanders, the way he's been adopted into that family. And then their punter. Yeah. And maybe their punter is a fun, you bring a guy who's got a good personality, who can help sell your team really well. I don't know. But, he got a lot of work last year too. So, it's going to be good. It's going to be a good time.
All right. Here's Brandon Marcello had this out and puts everything kind of in perspective when it comes to today, the official day for teams joining a conference. Somebody asked earlier about the Pac-12 schools in the Big Ten and also the ACC or the Big 12. That all happens in early August. But there's a timeline of the biggest moves in college athletics. It starts history beginning today. SMU, it's official. We'll hear from Andy Enfield, their men's basketball coach at 3:45. Even Kennesaw State and Army a part of this, but there are the times Big 12 and Big 10 and the ACC Pac-12 schools will be the first couple of days in August. There's no question that Oklahoma and Texas have enjoyed the entry into the conference, and I think I've even seen a lot of fans of the teams who are left over saying, okay, go, bye. We got to start our own thing, but it was the huge story 3 years ago about late July when all of that happened, and now here we are. They are both officially gone.
Yeah, I think this is it's brought about some really funny content. I'll tell you that. Watching today, the SEC Shorts thing was masterful in a way that I can't even describe. And I'm professionally jealous of them in a way that I normally am not of anyone. But they were great, and it's finally here. And to think about all that's happened in 3 years, which is not that long, of something that should, based on what we knew about college football beforehand, have taken a decade to do it's mind-boggling that all this is happening and we're seeing this gigantic shakeup that starts now.
It's funny to see some of the over-the-top kind of pageantry and just the celebration in general. It's been very interesting to see, how excited everybody is. And, especially Oklahoma and Texas to the SEC. Obviously, that's probably the biggest, not probably, it is the biggest of the moves. And so they've had their fun the last couple of days with all of that. I've seen various other celebrations from other schools as well, maybe a bit more dialed down or just a graphic or whatever the case may be. But, there's a lot of teams and a lot of realizing sort of how much change is going on, these past, I guess, 24, 48 hours, and also still to come this time a month from now. So, I mean, we all knew this was coming, but to see it actually start to fall into place is, it's a very unique and interesting time, and we don't know past the excitement where all this leads these teams. Some of them for the better, some of them maybe for the worse, some of them maybe exactly where they are right now. It all remains to be seen because there was so much buildup just to get all of these teams to this point. So now it's the next chapter, and a month from now we'll close that book on this round of realignment as far as the teams moving this year. But who knows what all continues to happen. But yeah, pretty crazy sequence of a couple of years now starting to find its footing, and it's a brand new world on the other side where we will see Oklahoma and Texas in the SEC, and we will see SMU in a power conference, and we will see all of these former Pac schools in the Big 12, not to mention all of the trickle-down effect to the various other conferences as well. So it's a lot of movement, but it's time to see how all this is going to go.
How much movement? Paul sent this to us today. 33 FBS teams have changed conferences since the Texas and Oklahoma SEC announcement, the Brent Zerneman story back in late July of 2021. 33 teams, from mega names all the way down to many others, including my alma mater at Stephen F. Austin back in the Southland, or New Mexico State, or Jacksonville State, or whoever. It affected 33 programs. And if you think about it, there's 131 FBS programs. 33 of them are changing conferences because of what happened 3 summers ago.
Yeah, so, I mean, a quarter of the teams in the country are moving around, and it just keeps going, and it's going to with the ACC, whenever that happens. I mean, that's one of those things that feels like it could be tomorrow or it could be a year from now.
Mark Alford posted a spear, Paul. Doesn't that mean they're going to the SEC? That's what I saw like 1,000 times.
We're going to get to Florida State, by good. Yeah, but you're right. Yeah.
But that's where we are. It's like the reading between the lines on every little thing, and it's just like, that's got to break at some point. But I mean, my God, the build up to it at this point is like, all right, let's get to the end of that thing, because I mean, we all know what the end is, but we don't know exactly where it lands or when it lands, of course. But yeah, we're at the post an emoji and everybody lose their mind like it's a 5-alarm fire. And I'm just kind of we've done that the last couple summers, and we'll track whatever happens there. But I'm not going to go into the reading of the emojis phase of this. I'll let everybody else handle that.
I know this is a minor part of that. I would like, as an FSU fan, that the spear be a little clearer. To me, it looks like, you ever been to a party that has like fancy hors d'oeuvres? And it's got like a pineapple and like something else and then something else on it. Or it looks like a shish kebab. It doesn't look like a spear. It looks like a shish kebab.
Right, yeah.
So I would rather it look like an actual spear.
Yeah, it's not like the ones they use for like pineapple or whatever. Like, or like you said, or bacon wrap.
Yeah, like it.
Well, all right.
This is lovely. Thank you. You bring more of these over later? That's what I think of when I see that emoji.
Garrett, let's skip. We'll get to that SEC image in a minute about surrounding Texas and Oklahoma. But here is the listen, the Big 12's excited with the 4 teams they have. Everyone's excited about the addition. Some probably wish that there were less or maybe none at all. And the ACC, greatness is becoming greater with Cal, SMU, and the Tree, the Cardinals, Stanford, all entering the conference. Now, that's not the one we're going to talk about, because that is also official. We'll have Andy Enfield again, head coach at SMU, and what this means for the Ponies. Florida State, what a beautiful partner they are for the ACC, that they actually took that image and retweeted it under their account
with their colors.
Welcome.
With their colors.
Welcome.
They're so happy that SMU and Cal and Stanford are coming to the conference. They're so happy that a year ago they voted against it. And then they were so happy that they were coming to the conference that 6 months ago they went to court to get out of that conference that they were in. Now, this is contractually obligated, and there's no reason.
Why?
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 That's a great question.
Why
I don't know why.
I don't think it is.
It was a PR choice. If they do something, we're going to talk about it. If they don't do anything,
we're going to talk about it. No, yeah.
So I think they chose, like, we might as well be nice about it, but I would have just rather had FSU and Clemson not be involved in this at all, and then people go, well, I mean, but it makes more sense for them not to. And look, they have no problem, and that's the thing. It's unfortunate for especially SMU in all of this. Stanford and Cal, I don't feel as bad for because they kind of made their bed, but for SMU in particular, Florida State and Clemson have no problem with SMU. There's no beef with SMU. They have a problem with the ACC before SMU got there, and SMU is just caught in this fight. Like they were invited to the party and showed up, and then there's two guys starting some trouble.
Craig, you kind of over there kind of like grimacing a little bit.
No, first of all, Michael Alford, not Mark Alford. I said Mark Alford.
That's right.
Michael Alford's the FSU AD. But no, Paul just sounds like Oklahoma and Texas fans when they were leaving the Big 12. And I remember when the Big 12, I forget exactly what it was, but they were posting some stuff. I remember like everybody retweeted it but Oklahoma and Texas, and it was like their little brat tantrum of like, we're not taking part in this.
So maybe that's why
So Paul's wanting them to basically be brats and throw a tantrum over to the ACC. And I get it, he's a Florida State fan, but I just feel like if you're feeling like you're on your way out, I mean, act how you want to act, but I don't know what the ACC did, quite frankly. This is kind of like, what did the Big 12 do to Oklahoma and Texas? Just not have enough money? I mean, I'm sorry, like, not sure what we were supposed to do about that.
If you ask them,
I think you've totally misread me, though, on this.
Okay.
I'm just saying in general, like that's, like the whole let's be like petty about it. And it's like, it's okay, good. I'm glad they retweeted it. Like, don't be petty about it. Just like, hey, welcome them in. It's not a big deal. Now, if they wanted to make a statement on it, they could make a statement on it. And I guess have not done anything or made a snide comment like that. But that's just what it reminds me of like kind of the Oklahoma, Texas on their way out of like, we're not really going to take part. Like, we'll show up to what we have to show up to because we're obligated to, but we're not going to do anything beyond that to actually promote the conference. And that's kind of what I feel like is the sentiment of a lot of Florida State and even spreading out Clemson, maybe North Carolina fans. They're already like halfway out the door and poo-poo on the ACC. We're better than you, and soon enough you'll see that. And that's just the sentiment I get, not just from Paul and not really from you, but in general, there's kind of that feel in the air now, which I think is, just a testament to kind of where that conference is right now. But I sure hope that it does fizzle out soon, because that's going to be unbearable if this is something that's going to be that way for, 3-4 years or whatever it may be.
Yeah, no, my personal feeling on it is I think it's stupid. I understand where they are, that they have to go make more money if they want to keep up, what we've all come accustomed to and addicted to if your Florida State and Clemson is competing at the highest level. So I get that. Like, I get all that feeling. I wish they didn't have to leave the ACC. The ACC's clearly been very good for both those schools. I mean, it has. And I think it's silly. I just don't like forced shows of disingenuousness, which this is. And so this feels very disingenuous to me, of them being like, hey, welcome aboard. We voted against you. We're trying to get out of the league. But yeah, hey, welcome to the party. That's what I don't like. I don't like the, I especially, it feels to me like when Oreo Cookie tweets about like Martin Luther King Day, like, I mean, what are you doing? Like,
trying to take advantage of an image campaign.
Yeah, they're trying to take advantage of it. Exactly. Like,
let me tell you what I don't like about it is that you are disingenuous of Florida State or whoever. Texas basically just left the conference. I don't know if they ever said thank you. Oklahoma's Joe Castiglione did post something yesterday about the memories of how it all came together when the Big Eight in the Southwest Conference, I guess you could say kind of a merger, because some were left behind. I did see that. It's not like I was looking for it. It just happened to pop up on my timeline. Here's my biggest pet peeve, though, about the conferences adding teams. Anybody that does this is, it just doesn't make sense. Dennis Dodd, I can't wait for Barry Switzer, SEC legend, on the SEC network, because, it's coming. I've got a disc somewhere of Tom Osborne being lauded by the Big Ten Network the same way. For example, the SEC saying that Vince Young in Texas.
They did it last night.
Yeah, and the history it's there. That would be like the Big Ten saying that Tommy Frazier's one of their all-time greatest quarterbacks.
Well, I mean, who else are you going to – I mean, like, to be fair, if you're showing highlights, what else do you have to show but non-SEC stuff? They've never been in the league before. But, yeah, I mean, if they're going to pretend like Vince Young's an SEC legend, that's ridiculous. But, I mean, if you're showing Texas clips, what else are you going to show?
No, it's not that. Yeah, no, I get it. No, but
they did it with Dat when, they named him like an SEC legend, and he never played a game in the SEC. That's the thing, show hey, this is one of the greatest moments in Texas history, and now they're coming to the SEC. But that's not really how it was framed, and the SEC had nothing to do with that day. They weren't even invited to the thing. Mike Slive was probably not even there. Why are we I get why you're showing Texas highlights, but frame it as Texas highlights.
Show it all day. That's fine. But
show it all day. They're
when you put it up on a graphic.
But framing it as here's SEC legend Vince Young. You're like, no, that's not really how it is. And that's it's an SEC thing to do. It's a very ESPN Disney thing to do as well. I mean, Disney has Star Wars and Marvel now, and if you ask them, they had it in 1977 when George Lucas made the first Star Wars movie, and that's not true at all.
So here's two notes in the Pac-12, which is something that it doesn't need to get overlooked. And Oregon State and Washington State, of course, are still a part of the conference, and God bless those two. They have found a way to continue to survive. They still have an uphill climb, but they are there. But this is not here anymore. If you went to go watch the Pac-12 network, that's the message on the screen.
Yep. So if you actually had a cable provider that had it, then that's what you saw. But,
if you had a cable subscriber, right?
Yeah. I was a DirecTV subscriber for the entire run of the Pac-12 network, so I never once – there was only 2 times where there's a game on where I thought, oh, I'd like to watch this game. And then I was like, oh, wait, I don't have it. Okay, well – On to Fresno State, then.
I did watch it a couple of times last year during the fall. Craig?
I don't know if I ever even had it. I don't recall. And if I do, then I definitely obviously didn't get enough of an impression from it. That's not a knock. That's just I don't remember. By the way, your tweet doesn't really make sense, quoting Dennis Dodd. SEC legendary quarterback Tommy Frazier. Nebraska's not in the SEC,
that's right.
so that wouldn't really work. But
see, I should never tweet ever. But I shouldn't tweet while I'm doing a show. You can't tweet and drive.
Make any sense. But as far as the Pac network goes, I mean, we'll see what becomes of that. I know there's a lot of fans and 2 fan bases that feel like those cameras are worth a lot of money, and there's a lot of money to be used to launch them into a good situation. And I don't know that to be the case. I definitely am not going to tease people and pretend that that's the case when I don't have any clue. It could be that way, but perhaps it is some sort of an alliance of some sort. Perhaps they just tread water for a couple of years. I don't know. But, yeah, for a lot of people who grew up out west or attended those schools, it's a bittersweet day. I think there's a lot of those fans that also are excited. USC fans going to the Big Ten or whatever the other versions you want to use are. I think there are a lot of fans that are excited. But, yeah, it's bittersweet, and I just wish that we could have had that graphic somehow from the future, pulled it into the past, and displayed that about this time last year and what the reaction would have been to say, here's what's coming, even though we basically said that in so many ways, hinted at it at least and referred to it many times. But to see that actually coming to fruition, I'm not going to pour salt in the wound of Pac-12 fans, but yeah, that was a lot of hubris, a lot of arrogance led to the pulling of the plug on that network. And, a lot of conferences, I think, right now are being very mindful of the miscalculations and the missteps the Pac-12 leadership took last year. So hopefully we don't see anything like that happen again. But, that was a bad story or a bad way to learn a lesson, I think, for a lot of schools.
Paul, we need to go to Bruce Feldman because we have Andy Enfield has to be off at 4. He's going to be on the ACC network. So here's an image that was put out by Ghost of Neyland Stadium, of course, in Knoxville. This is with all of not everybody, but most of the teams in the SEC with their swords drawn. And then in the middle it says Texas and Oklahoma don't belong in the SEC. This is going on, and it's been kind of funny. Most of it's all been funny, but there's Georgia, there's Tennessee, and of course Texas and Oklahoma have had theirs in response. There's the teams, as they all have, the sword around the 2 incoming brethren of the Southeastern Conference. And so it has been quite the graphics and displays, the comments, and more. We are now joined by Bruce Feldman, theathletic.com, and we will absolutely talk about his column about the most difficult, toughest places to play in college football that he released last week. before he got away for a few days with his family. Bruce, thanks for your time. 33 teams, I saw the number, 33 teams have changed conferences, although some still have to wait till August officially, since Texas and OU made or Brent Zerneman broke the story. Did you realize there was that many teams that have changed conferences?
Not that many, no. Obviously, the big ticket items of A&M and OU, but yeah, the fallout has been pretty spectacular. And because it's gone on for so long, I just feel like there's a lot of stuff that kind of gets lost in the margins, quite honestly.
Bruce, much was made last week about those. I want to get to the top 10. I feel like they should have had you guys, and they had a lot of media people in to play the game, but they should have asked you guys first of what their top places to play were, because even though there are some places on the list that are hard, if it's going to affect the game, then they really need to get a more accurate feel for it. And you guys, we've all who've gone to games kind of know the depth a little bit better maybe than some computer programmers.
Yeah, it was a little surprising to see A&M won. I mean, it's an awesome venue in itself, but it's funny. I think I've been there 3 or 4 games, and it's been loud. The press box is rocked, and I think they've lost every home game that I've been to. I saw Johnny Manziel and first game against Florida, they lost. Saw the rematch against Alabama after Johnny football and Alabama, had won in Tuscaloosa, and then even remember LSU where it was a Thanksgiving game and like Danny Etling looked like Peyton Manning against the Aggies. So it's crazy how that kind of stuff can work out.
Bruce, what did you feel was, and you got your list, Death Valley #1, Bryant-Denny. I saw a lot of conversation about that being too high, but you got that at #2. But what was maybe the one that was just the most obvious, and maybe egregious is too strong a word, but the most obvious correction for you?
I mean, I just thought it was A&M being that high, there's some amazing home field advantages in the SEC. I just didn't feel like that one kind of measured, especially in light of what LSU is and what the atmosphere is like. And they play most of their games on Saturday nights, and that place gets pretty lathered up and ready to go. It's just such an advantage for them. To me, that was the biggest misstep.
Autzen Stadium, Oregon, and what they have with Coach Lanning, and now they enter the Big Ten as a smaller stadium. See, I think sometimes people say that it has to be large to be loud or tough to play, and that's not always the case. Your thoughts about Autzen Stadium and what they have built there with Oregon football?
Yeah, it's a unique scene. I mean, it's in a beautiful part of the country. I remember, I wrote this in the story. One of the coaches I knew who was getting ready to play on the road at Autzen, he was like, they pipe the noise in there. There's no way it's that loud. And that team ended up getting blown out by like 3 touchdowns. It's just, there's a lot of energy in there. And I feel like some of the stadiums, this one fits in that category. Like maybe, I think the Big 12 fans will see when Utah is now in the Big 12, that it's one of these like pound for pound stadiums that just has a unique feel to it, even though it's not these supersized, Tennessee and Penn State and LSU and Alabama where they're, over 100,000. This one's a little more than half that. It's like 60,000, but it's still pretty intense and has a great feel to it.
Bruce, were there any stadiums in that top 25 that you thought, come on now?
I don't know. There was nothing I felt like was that out of character, but it's kind of, once you get to that many, I feel like there's some, like I was surprised Tennessee was not in the top 10. I mean, just being there, being on the field, because there's a bunch of these games I've been on the sideline and on the field for games. It's just, you kind of can get a different feel for it than maybe what it's like in the press box or certainly on TV.
Bruce, it's been a very interesting offseason, a very busy offseason. We're now entering Media Days month. Obviously, all of the onboarding and still more to come of all the realignment stories this past couple of years now coming to fruition. Does July 2024 feel like it's got more chaos in store? Is there anything in particular looking forward to this month? Just what are the vibes, for lack of a better term, that you kind of get around college football as we enter this last stretch of, quiet that we haven't really had?
Yeah, you used the term onboarding before, and I like that just because I was thinking I'll be in Vegas and just to see just a compilation. Because, last year was a little weird. Texas, you were obviously outgoing. You had the 4 new teams. Now those 4 teams aren't going to feel that new because you now have another batch that are coming in for the Big 12. And I just feel like it's going to take a little getting used to in the practicality purposes. And I think that'll be fun. I mean, I feel like, especially in the Big 12, to me, it's such, given how far Oregon 3 years, Arizona was terrible 3 years ago, and now they just won 10 games, and they have pretty much all their firepower back. They lost a few guys who followed Jet Fish to Washington, but you take that school, you take a Utah that was so injured last year, and now they're back at full strength, at least on offense. You combine that with some of the other programs that I feel like, West Virginia, people thought Neil Brown was on the hot seat at this point last year, and then they, had a big season last year, and they have a lot of their star power back, and just like what, some of these rebuilds have looked like, and I feel like it's just an interesting time to see how the kind of reboots are happening all around the country.
When the announcement came down in late July of 2021, Brett Zerleman had a story, and of course everybody stopped what they were doing. Mack Rhodes was trying to enjoy a vacation. Every time he goes on vacations, all hell breaks loose in realignment. And I remember texting him. Where were you? What did you think at the time?
I think I was on a plane back from the SEC media days, because I think it was Brent's story. Might have been the 4th day of the 4 days. I'm not like, it's been a little while now, and a lot of stuff has gone on. But I remember being on a plane when that happened. And I just think it might have been from SEC Media Days, because I think I left, I want to say it was the last day there. That might be wrong, but I definitely remember being on a plane. And, good on Brent and the Chronicle for getting that was a massive story. And the dominoes started to fall from there. I don't think any of us expected, speaking for myself, I don't think we expected as much to happen as quickly as it did after that.
When you heard the story, did you think Oklahoma or Texas at that time was more prepared to join the SEC if either two?
Oh, it's a good question. I didn't think Texas was as prepared as it is now, looking back. Because there was a lot of TBD around it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Sark, they had come out of Tom Herman, where it was a really up and down tenure. And Sark had never won, that never had a big winner, at his time. He did a good job taking Washington from a winless season to making them respectable, but he didn't get them really over the hump. And then it was a disastrous year and a half or whatever it was at USC. He obviously made a lot of growth personally and professionally from his time under Nick Saban. He hired a great staff, and he's done a terrific job. And I think Del Conte, Chris Del Conte's done a lot of really good things around the athletic department, around the football. There's just been a lot of good things. Oklahoma was certainly in transition when Lincoln left as quickly as he did. And then, year 2 was much better, obviously, with Venables. And I feel like they're in a pretty good place. I think they have a terrific young quarterback to build around, and it seems like they're recruiting well. So, Texas was in a better place coming out of last year just because of what they had. But Oklahoma closed the gap, and we know they got great leadership with Joe Castiglione, which, he's as good as there is at ADs. And I think because you have two guys like that who are so good at what they do at the top of the organization, I think they're in good places.
Bruce, a couple weeks ago, you did your story on your first pass at the 12-team projection for this year. You have Utah at 4th. They're getting a first-round bye. They set up well coming in. Is it because of the experience that they have coming back with Rising and that?
It is. You have a really good dual-threat quarterback who's a 7th-year senior. You have an All-American caliber tight end, Brant Keefe, who has been such a playmaker. He missed half of last year. I think you have a really good defensive structure. Now they got to replace both safeties. They got to replace a terrific, defensive lineman in Jonah Ellis. But just the experience they have, I feel like, we've gotten into this a lot on our podcast, The Audible, over the last couple of weeks. The Big 12 is the most parity league. It would not surprise me. I would be surprised if anybody runs the table and goes 12-0. But I think there's a lot of teams who could be anywhere from 5 wins to 10 wins, depending on, some injuries. And I think the one I feel the most confident is Utah right now, just because of the leadership they have.
What were your thoughts about the Utah story today about Morgan Scalley being coach in waiting? We've seen those examples before. Sometimes they work, sometimes they don't. He's been that way before and then had to kind of step back a little bit. Your thoughts, do you think that means Kyle Whittingham is on the verge of maybe another year, or just are they being proactive?
I think they're being proactive. I mean, he's been Kyle Whittingham's in great physical shape. He's a grandfather who's, I've had to work out as the coach in waiting part. But it was interesting timing because this thing has been kind of bubbled behind the scenes for like 6 months. But obviously with a lot of news coming out today, that was the launch date of this. We'll see how it goes. I mean, Oregon's a really, really good defensive coordinator who has been a key piece of them sustaining a lot of success over a long time there now.
Bruce, last thing, back to the stadium, the story you wrote in The Athletic last week. If you look, BYU's got an incredible night atmosphere. In a lot of places, it's hard to win at Ames at night. We know about what Utah is because of their success. Where would you put Stillwater and T. Boone's Pickens Stadium in that, as far as just massive, almost headache-type noise that starts from the time that game kicks off?
Yeah, I think as a sideline reporter, you'd have just because they are so close. Like, TV doesn't do it justice. I don't even think, there's a few places in the Big 12, like, Oklahoma was a tight sideline, but not like Stillwater, because you had the Roughnecks banging on the outskirts of the stadium. It's just not a huge place, but it's on top of you. It's loud. They take pride in it. They've obviously had a lot of good teams over the years. I mean, to me, Lubbock gets pretty loud.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like, but of the ones besides the Musts and Utah, and again, smaller stadium, I would probably put from my experience, Oklahoma State is as raucous as any of them because of that, Roughnecks banging on the right on top of the opposing team like that.
Bruce, we said this to Sam Conn. We had him on last week, and Max Olson. We have been able to kind of jump up to what we're doing with our subscribers with this show that started from scratch 4 years ago. Above 50,000 subscribers. You and a lot of the guests that we have from theathletic.com, Stewart among others, we really do appreciate you being a part of the show, and you're a part of our growth as well, and we thank you for that.
I appreciate it. You guys do a great job. I truly appreciate it. And I know, the feelings mutual with all my colleagues about what you guys do there.
Thank you, Bruce. Bruce Feldman, theathletic.com with us. He has the toughest places to play last week. His article in theathletic.com.
Yeah, it was a good read, and I think it was great to see all the various people who have that experience being at certain places to, go and create their own list to give a little bit more insight from those who have absolutely been there to these places and have been there multiple times in some cases for some of the biggest games. So that is a byproduct of kind of the engagement tactics of the video game, which are working because a lot of people are talking about them, but that's a good byproduct of it, I think, is to have that side conversation of, no, wait, here's what I think, and having some of those who are well-versed in, though, even fans who have made it a point to, travel. Like, I know Paul's, trying to go to every major league ballpark, but the fans who do that for college football to get their 2 cents, I read a lot of good accounts on, their own rankings. That was pretty cool that came from that.
Well, how many baseball parks have you been to? Arlington, right?
Me?
You've been to what?
I've
Fenway?
been to Dodger Stadium, Angel Stadium, and
That's
the
right.
ballpark in
we
Arlington.
We did that when we went to Cowboys training camp.
I've been to 18 or 19.
That's good. That's awesome. That's Wrigley Field to me would be awesome.
It's the best. Fenway and Wrigley are my two favorites just because of it's where you step back into time. Like you go back and you feel what it was.
When we come back, Andy Enfield, he's the men's basketball coach at SMU. We hear about a lot of these programs and universities as they join conferences, and most of the focus is on football. That's where the money is, but basketball generates it too. SMU head basketball coach Andy Enfield is around the corner. This is 365 Sports. PettyClinicLowT.com. Dr. Kent Petty can help you become the high-performance man you want to be, need to be, and used to be. You can go on their site, contact him and his staff, and they will get back in touch with you. They will set you up to get your blood work. They will take care of that for you. You go give your blood. They get the results. Dr. Petty gets in touch with you and gives you an option of how to increase your testosterone level so you can become the high-performance man you want to be, need to be, used to be at pettycliniclowt.com.
Make this the summer of Jeep at Allen Samuels in Waco. Get a 2024 Jeep Compass under $30,000 or save $13,000 on a Jeep Grand Cherokee Overland. Visit Allen Samuels in Waco today.
Come by. Let's be friends.
Stepping into the boots of a U.S. Army officer can add confidence and leadership skills to your son or daughter's career path. See all the things they can achieve in our boots at GoArmy.com. U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, 254-598-8131 or 254-776-1543.
At Ideal MRI, we feel blessed to be part of the Waco community. We're a small family business here in Central Texas. At times like this, the cost of healthcare has never been more important. And unfortunately, significant illnesses and injuries still occur. And that's why Ideal MRI is open and here to serve you through this difficult time. So if you need an MRI, ask your doctor about Ideal MRI. You can schedule online in minutes at idealmri.com or call 833-IDEAL-MRI.
Camille Johnson Realtors guide you seamlessly through the process of buying your dream home or selling your current one. Commercial, farm and ranch, or residential, Camille Johnson Realtors can smoothly and successfully lead you through any transaction. With a team of 28 experienced agents who are excited about serving you, Camille Johnson Realtors services the entire greater Waco area. If you're in the market to buy or sell, contact Camille Johnson Realtors, 104 Midway Center in Woodway, or find them online at www.camillejohnson.com. Camille Johnson Realtors, elegant, charming, warm. Welcome home.
Parenting is full of surprises.
You never know what to expect.
So after our son was born, I called my Texas Farm Bureau insurance agent to set up a life insurance policy in case something happened to me.
Sawyer is now 2.
And we'll soon have a sister. There's no one else I would trust with protecting my family.
Stop by and see our agents at one of our 3 McLennan County locations.
Coverage and discounts are subject to qualifications and policy terms and may vary by situation.
Baylor alumni are more than 160,000 strong. When we all join hands to support our university, we don't just move the needle, we move mountains. Working together, we create life-changing opportunities for students on the field, in the classroom, in the laboratory, and in life for generations to come. So get connected, get involved. Learn how at baylor.edu/alumni.
Let the journey to financial brilliance begin with Genco's limited time offers. Max your earnings with a Kasasa cash account and get paid monthly with a 4.25 APY. That's $425 annually. Then invest in a 13-month share certificate and earn 4.9 APY. That's $529. Earn cash and outshine the rest. At Genco, we offer you the sun and the moon. Kasasa based on average daily balance of $10,000. Certificate based on $10,000 investment. See GencoFCU.org for details. NCUA.
This is 365 Sports.
The 3 o'clock hour is sponsored by Waco Custom Marketplace. Meats, sweets, Texas treats, and a cut above the rest. 425 Lake Air Drive, Waco.
Andy Enfield is the head basketball coach at SMU. Today's a big day for SMU and the ACC. That's official. We have had, of course, Rick Hart on the show, and we've had Rhett Lashley on the show. We appreciate Coach joining us as well. Andy, thanks for your time. And so what does today mean, in your opinion, for SMU and also not just the university athletic department, but your men's basketball team, too?
It's a great day for everybody at SMU. They've been waiting a long time to get back to the power conference level. The ACC is the premier basketball league in the country, in my opinion. So it's just an exciting time for all the sports as well as the city of Dallas.
You're an ACC team that's right in the middle of Big 12 country, which is the other big power basketball conference. How much does that help your brand a little bit there, that you can kind of draw from these similar talent pools? And I know that basketball recruiting is maybe more national than anything, but being in Dallas and being in that big part of it helped your recruiting.
Well, I think we separate ourselves because we're the only ACC school in the state of Texas and the only school in Dallas, which is the 4th largest TV market in the country. So we have great high school sports here. The state is loaded with great basketball talent at the high school level. and there are a lot of great AAU teams here as well. So I think we're in the right spot at the right time, and we would like to try to develop this program in the ACC with some Texas recruits, as well as hit the transfer portal when we have to.
Coach, it's been a busy year. I mean, taking that SMU job, making the leap as they move into the ACC, just how have you kind of acclimated to Dallas? I don't know maybe what your prior history there was, but how are you getting to know SMU, just the league and all that comes with that?
Well, the most time I spent in Dallas when I was an assistant coach in the NBA, and we played the Mavericks, and I enjoyed it then, but that was a long time ago.
Yeah.
I am very pleasantly surprised. SMU is in a beautiful area. The city's very accessible, and the energy here is top-notch. What the Mavericks did here to get the basketball fans excited in Dallas, we're just hoping at SMU that we can go out and be very competitive and win some games and get the city behind us like they did the Mavs.
I believe I heard a quote from you or read this, and I want to make sure you want to, add to it, but you took this job knowing they were going to be a part of the ACC. Could you see yourself at SMU, with all due respect, if they weren't?
Well, I had a long-term contract at USC and was very happy. We've been here 11 seasons, and we had a lot of great players and great teams, and so I wasn't necessarily looking to leave a great situation. However, SMU going to the ACC was extremely exciting. And so to be honest with you, no, we would not have left as a coaching staff if this was not happening at SMU. We would not have gone unless they were joining the ACC. That was the huge reason of why we were interested in talking to, and we're just so excited to be here now.
How much is it easier now to change jobs than it was in the past because of the portal, or is it just a different flavor of difficult?
The transfer portal's made it easier to rebuild quicker, but you have to, first of all, get the right transfers and mesh them together to play as a team. So, yes, you can with the transfer portal and the NIL. It is a quicker process because before, when we took the USC job 11 and a half years ago, we had to recruit high school players. And if we did take a transfer, they had to sit out a year. So it was at least a year before you could get some of your recruits in there because your first recruiting classes were still in high school. So it is a different time now. It makes it quicker, but at the same time, you have to really evaluate and try to get to know these young men that you're bringing to your program.
Coach, I know you're at SMU now, but I did want to touch on the fact you had a couple of draft picks, former players, Isaiah Collier, Bronny James, both getting drafted last week. Obviously, Bronny's got the big story with going to L.A. and being there with his dad. But just your thoughts on those two young men, and what's it like as a coach? I mean, you've pumped out draft picks on a regular basis, but what's that just like from your standpoint, your angle, to see those guys get to fulfill their dreams?
Well, really proud of Isaiah and Bronny. They've worked so hard to get to where they are in their games today, to be drafted. We've had, I think we had 10 NBA. Isaiah was the 9th and Bronny was the 10th NBA player we've had since 2018 at USC. So we've had quite a few draft picks, quite a few NBA players that have been successful and sustained their success in the league. And I think both those young men will be in a development stage and will have long NBA careers, and just excited for them.
When you were at Johns Hopkins, did you ever get recruited by the lacrosse coach?
No, I did not, but I did run a lacrosse camp with Dave Petramala for 10 years, and Dave is one of my great friends, and of course he won 2 national championships as the head coach at Hopkins many years later.
Can you try to describe how physical that sport is? I mean, the cardio, yes, but it's more, I think people may think it's physical, but it to me is an incredible sport.
Well, lacrosse, like a lot like basketball, you have the player movements, you have zone defense, man defense, you have cutting. So it's a lot, the movements and the philosophy, offense, defense, just like basketball. So I think it's a tremendous sport. It's really grown since we started at lacrosse camp in 1992. The sport has grown through the Midwest all the way out to the West Coast, and I love watching it.
What do you think SMU needs as they enter the ACC? They have you. They have a history in basketball. Is there anything else the school's going to do to make sure that everything is set as you enter the ACC?
We have great support here, the administration, all the way from the president's office down to the athletic department. Rick Carter, our athletic director, is terrific, very experienced, Lauren Adee. So we're pumped up, ready to go. The head of the board of trustees, David Miller, is a former basketball player. He was very successful with his teammates back in the Southwest Conference. They had some great teams of course, what Larry Brown did here with some great teams, Tim Jankovic, et cetera. So there have been a lot of great players and teams that come through SMU. We just have to do our part now to try to get that back to where they've been and sustain the success if we can.
You've been, at a lot of different stops. And when you were at Florida Gulf Coast, that was a school that didn't exist like a decade before you even got there. And you built that program and made that run with them in the NCAA tournament. Then you go to USC, you've been in the NBA. How do each of your different stops and the different situations of those coaching stops form you as a coach? And how do you kind of apply things that you've learned?
Well, I started as an assistant coach in the NBA, and then I went to Leonard Hamilton, joined his staff at Florida State, learned how to watch just a Hall of Fame coach build a program, and so I was very fortunate to work with Coach Hamilton. Florida Gulf Coast was different. It was our first head coaching job, and we tried to recruit some size and length and some guards that could really push the pace. And 2 years later, had Dunk City. So those Brett Comer, Bernard Thompson, Sherwood Brown, those guys were just incredible. Chase Fielder. So we tried to do the same thing at USC, but we didn't have the transfer portal, so it took a while to build. We were last place in the Pac-12 the first 2 years. I would say that what we learned there was, first of all, you need good players to win. Secondly, you have to be patient and build a program. And so our third year, we flipped it, won 20-some games, went to the NCAA tournament, and we had the most sustained success in USC basketball history for the next decade, and went to Elite Eight and 6 or 7 NCAA tournaments and put 10 guys in the NBA. So I think all the stops have been a learning experience for me as a head coach. Very excited to hopefully this will be my last head coaching job at SMU. I think the ACC is a challenge. It has an incredible basketball history with a lot of great schools and programs and coaches. So I'm just very fortunate in my career to be at a place like SMU and also be the first head coach I have in the ACC.
Coach, what's been your message to SMU supporters, just fans and people in general when it comes to the expectation of what they'll see when they see Andy Enfield led SMU take the court next season?
Well, we'll try to play our style, spread the floor. We'll try to push the pace. And at USC, before this past year, we had these injuries. The last 4 years, we led the nation in defense, at field goal percent defense over a 4-year period. And so defensively, we are going to try to be exceptional once again. So that'll start there. And then we can get our stops, steal the ball and rebound the ball, push the pace and spread the floor. So that's our goal, and we'll see what happens.
I know you have an appointment with the ACC network, and we're going to let you do that. But could you try to describe again today what it's been like? It's the summertime, but what it's been like on campus at SMU or around the athletic department?
Well, there's a lot of excitement when the students were in session until they went to final exams. And this is a little slower in summer, but everybody can feel the energy here. It's incredible. Once school starts August 26th and the football starts to play some home games, I think it's going to be the best sporting atmosphere here in Dallas.
Thank you, Coach. Thanks for your time. Andy Enfield, he's the men's basketball coach at SMU. He was on that run. He was the head coach at Florida Gulf Coast, Dunk City, and then went to USC. And he said it when he took the job at SMU. Had it not been for the fact that they were entering the ACC, he would not. He said it again to us, take that job.
Well, yeah.
He would probably still be at USC because otherwise you're talking about a step down. With all due respect to SMU basketball, now you're talking about being a part of the ACC with something to build.
Yeah, I mean, it's not even close. You're not going to leave the Big Ten, where you would have been headed to and I don't know what the future held in LA. Who the heck knows? But, as far as your affiliation, yeah, SMU in the ACC is a lot different than SMU in the American Conference. It's not even close. And we talk about the football impact of, hey, they get Florida State's rolling into town this year. Well, how about the fact that you could get Duke or North Carolina coming in to play basketball? That's as big of a deal. And I think that's, obviously a huge pull. So, yeah, as opposed to respectfully playing Tulane in hoops in Dallas, you're getting NC State or something. Mm-hmm. And so, I think that obviously had to be a huge pull. And then that's part of SMU just using its leverage and making its move when it did to ensure that they can go get an Andy Enfield to make the move from L.A. to Dallas and, have Rhett Lashley set up for an immense amount of success and just have all their ducks in a row to go and make this plunge and really get the most for their risk. And they made a move that I think we're going to look back on for years to come and depending on how it all goes and just kind of marvel at, or I don't know what we'll do, but it was definitely interesting.
I hope for them that in particular, because especially now, like looking back through, the looking glass at how it just seems even more ridiculous now that there were given the death penalty in the athletic department as a whole suffered.
Based on where we are, plus others never got the death penalty.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like you look at it holistically, I know it was against the rules, but like you look at it holistically and fundamentally and all these things that happen, it seems silly. And I'm very glad for them that they're back on the major college athletic scene. I hope it does work out for them. I think they have a chance to be kind of scary in both major sports in football and basketball there, given the fact that they're here in Texas. They've got rich alumni that really want to get it back and want to give them the resources they need.
Raised $100-200 million.
Yeah, right? All of that they have. So yeah, should be great. And I do think this, like if I'm an SMU fan last year and I see that when Kansas went down and played in Orlando and lost, I'd been like, well, can we get some of that with Duke and North Carolina, please? Give me some of that. What store do I go to order that one right there? Because that's a feeling, that you're all of a sudden a team that most of the country forgot about or ignored, and then all of a sudden, a blue blood in a sport rolls into your place and you win. That's a big deal.
Well, here's the thing for SMU. They obviously have fans who have money. We've always known that, even when, death penalty or not, like that's always been the case. But they were able to get it together and help make this massive move. But now it's like, yeah, you showed that support, but what kind of fan support do they get?
Yeah.
Are they going to sell out the football stadium now? Like, does that happen? Are they going to sell out basketball games? Like, that's where the real test, I think, will come in terms of SMU turning a corner. They've always had money. They're always going to have money. So that's not a surprise. And enough to make big, bold moves like they've made over the last year. But, can they take it to a support level to another degree? I think that's the call now for their fandom. Their fans have answered the money question, no doubt about it. And now it's can you grow the fan base? Can you grow the following? And that's always, I think, probably been the most difficult task for them outside of getting back to where they are. Now they've done that. Let's see how they can round that out with the rest of what you need to be at the top level.
Yeah, they do. And again, it's a small school, small private school, but loaded with money. And they have the city of Dallas, but they're not really something that is engaged with the city of Dallas. They're trying to change that. You go into Southwest Airlines or you go to Love Field, and you see images and stuff, but there's still a lot more to do, and hopefully maybe a good win or two can help spark that crowd. When we come back, Robert Giovanetti, he's the director of the external operations, vice president, athletic director at Texas Tech University, and his thoughts about the new Adidas image and uniforms. The Patrick Mahomes II, of course, and his influence as well. We'll have a few pictures of Tech's uniforms. Robert Giovanetti will join us next. This is 365 Sports. IdealMRI.com in the Central Texas marketplace, where they can do two things for you. One, they can find out what is hurting you. What is the problem? Ankle, back, hip, neck, knee. What is the issue? You have something that's painful, something your doctor wants a better look at, and they suggest get it an MRI. They know about Ideal MRI because Ideal MRI is fantastic, a place where a state-of-the-art imaging machine. I've been in it, and many others have too. And on top of that, it could save you a ton of money. The average MRI is $1,100 and more. Theirs is $497 every single time or less, and they will also help file the insurance papers. Dr. Rob Maxey, who's been here with us since day one as a sponsor of 365 Sports, one of the partners at IdealMRI.com in the Central Texas marketplace on the southern part of Waco, just off I-35.
With so many companies and policies out there, it gets so confusing shopping for insurance, and I never know if I'm getting the policy that's right for me. Luckily, I met the team at the Niche Group Insurance Agency. With the Niche Group, you can go to one company and get access to coverage options from many insurance carriers, and you get to speak to a real person about your specific coverage needs. With the Niche Group, I know I'm getting the right coverage at the right price. If you need insurance, talk to the experts at the Niche Group at 1-800-258-8302.
Don Humidor, your home with a 48-foot walk-in humidor with the elite cigar brands from around the world, including the #1 cigar of the year, Aging Room Cuatro Nicaragua. Plus, they have the great brands like Macanudo and Artur Fuente, Rocky Patel, Aston, and so much more. CBD, great for sore muscles, aches and pains, sleep, Vita Dreams, and anxiety, mild depression, general health and wellness. Their staff very knowledgeable on the subject. Don Humidor in the Townwest Shopping Center off Valley Mills in Waco.
Baylor Scott & White Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, the team physicians for Baylor Athletics, diagnosing and treating all sports-related injuries, including concussions. These specialists also provide orthopedic services for athletes and non-athletes alike, whether it's knee or shoulder pain, a wrist injury, orthopedic spine care, and even an arthritis and total joint clinic. Trust the doctors Baylor Athletics trust. Baylor Scott & White Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics wants to get you back in the game.
Waco Custom Marketplace is your hometown grocery store with a full-service butcher shop and bakery. Hi, this is David Smoke. The butcher shop can take your customized orders for seafood, pork, and poultry and custom cut your favorite steaks from bacon-wrapped fillets, sirloin steaks, bone-in ribeyes, boneless ribeyes, and even prime rib. Cut specifically the way you want, the thickness that you want. They're all delicious. They have Norwegian salmon, mahi-mahi, catfish fillets, sliced ham or turkey, variety of cheese, and several options of sausage links, and even regular jalapeno or cheese snack sticks, fresh chicken breast or whole chickens, sliced bacon, pork chops, and ground beef, marinated beef or chicken fajitas, and always large briskets and tri-tip available, plus fresh vegetables. So the great product, customer service, and tradition continues at Waco Custom Marketplace, a full-service butcher shop and bakery, open Monday through Saturday. The Bauer family, Waco Custom Marketplace, 425 Lake Air Drive in Waco, or WacoCustomMarketplace.com.
Carry On Solutions is a full-service IT management service provider and provides professional services for businesses servicing clients in the U.S. and globally. They are authorized partners with Microsoft, Quest, Veeam, NetApp, HP Enterprise, and Cisco Duo. Whether you are outsourcing IT services, merging companies, or wanting to tackle cybersecurity challenges, contact Carry On Solutions. We are IT. Call or email Dave at 832-437-0138 or sales at Carry On Solutions. That's CARRION Solutions.com.
This is 365 Sports, powered by SicEm365.com. Enjoying the show? Hit the like button and subscribe.
Hope you've had a great day. There has been so much to discuss when it comes to college football and many different angles, college athletics. And Robert Giovanetta, he is the executive director of athletics at Texas Tech, external operations, and also strategic marketing, joins us on 365 Sports with Craig Smoke, Paul Catalina, and I'm David Smoke. Robert, first of all, thanks for your time. What did today mean as far as the unveiling, Adidas, the agreement, Patrick Mahomes, all of the full meal deal of what today meant?
Hey, guys, thanks for having me. Well, first of all, for our team, I think it meant the culmination of a really long process of working with Adidas, working with Patrick's people to plan this out and give our fans really something to be excited about, something to look forward to. And I think that we saw that today, right? When so much other news happening in college athletics today that you guys have been talking about, it's nice to have this little separate niche for us here at Texas Tech, where we're going to have this new uniforms, this relationship with Patrick. And Patrick has been so great to Texas Tech and so great for Texas Tech. We're just thrilled to keep this going with a world-class organization like Adidas.
Well, our audience is getting to see the uniforms now, Robert, and they look fantastic. How much? I know it's exciting when you do this, but changing providers and changing your apparel company, how much of a headache is that people who don't have to do it will never understand?
It is, I hate to use the word headache because it gives it a negative connotation, but there is so much that goes into it. When you think of you're starting on July 1st, and really in less than 2 months, you have 3 sports that are going to start competing in soccer, volleyball, and football. And so there's so many just components beyond just what you see on the field. The workout gear, the everyday gear that the student athletes and the coaches have. So there's a lot of cycling out of product and cycling product in. Our equipment manager, Zane Perry, and his staff have been working 24/7 to make sure that this happens. And when you look at the football side of it, we're in the midst of a move too. We are building the largest, I know you've had Kirby on the show before talking about our stadium construction, the largest contiguous football facility in the country, but we're not there yet. And so our equipment guys are operating out of a trailer, and they're having to do all this while they're in a temporary housing. So it's been, there's been quite a few logistical, I want to use the word challenges. I think that our guys have been tremendous in working with us.
So where did you guys sort of start as far as, obviously you mentioned collaboration with Patrick. How in depth did that go? And just what was kind of the mission all along for Texas Tech Athletics and Adidas to try and land where you guys ultimately landed?
You know, Patrick and Kirby Hokut, our AD, have such a great relationship, and Patrick reaches out to him all the time. And a couple of years ago, he wanted Kirby to play at his charity golf tournament in the summer, and Kirby went. A tough gig, right? He went to Hawaii. It was somebody had to go. I offered, but I told Kirby I would take some of this off his plate, but he went ahead and took that gig. But Patrick told him at that time, "Hey, we're working on this. Patrick's going to have his own Gladiator line," and he said, "I want the first school to wear it to be Texas Tech." It just so happened we were coming up on a renewal with Under Armour, so Patrick put us together with the right people, the college sports people at Adidas. And so that began the start of the conversations over the, a couple of years. And, when it came down to when negotiating period came open, Adidas came to us with an offer, and working with Patrick and having all the different things that we can do with Patrick, I think we'll be able to roll some of that over the next couple of months. But I think once that became clear, I think the decision was made pretty easy for us.
Robert, for those who don't understand, including someone like me, when you say Gladiator brand, and these image or brands, they have a separate level. What specifically is the Gladiator brand?
So Patrick has similar to Jumpman. Patrick will have his own line, and you can see I don't know, I can't see what you guys are showing, but there's a PM logo for Patrick Mahomes. And so it'll just be a whole separate line. And so there'll be some sports that will wear the Gladiator logo on their uniforms early on. Baseball will have a Gladiator version. Football will have a Gladiator version. And the plans are eventually for every one of our sports to have some sort of Gladiator logo in addition to the traditional Adidas logo as well.
Robert Giovanetti with us from Texas Tech on today's unveiling of the Adidas uniforms and also the Gladiator brand in connection with Patrick Mahomes II.
So was that a real giant piece of Scotch tape on the field? Was that AI? What was that? That was really cool. I'm just trying to figure out if my eyes are deceiving me or not.
That was one of the greatest things that we worked with the Adidas creative people on that. And I don't know if you guys know the story, but in 2019, Patrick wanted to come to the Final Four when we played in the national championship semifinals and finals. And he wore a shirt, and his wife, Brittany, wrote Adidas on a piece of masking tape and covered the logo. And so that's just been kind of the go-to picture with Patrick wearing that. When we announced the partnership back in the fall, Patrick got out of his car for Chiefs game wearing that shirt with the masking tape. So we thought a cool way to unveil it today would be to pull the tape off. So, a good thing we did this in 2024 and 1984 rather than 1984, because we were able to computer generate the masking tape on the field, the logos on the field. But I am surprised, and I told the creative guys this. I said, you should be proud of the number of people that think there actually are those logos on the field and that there was a big piece of tape. We actually did talk about putting a big piece of something to look like tape on the field, but that was all computer generated.
Yeah, that video is amazing. That is, I'm glad you brought that up, Craig. That is so cool the way that went down. What does today mean as far as you have the stadium that's close to being completely done with all the renovations there? What does it all mean as far as you just put it all, your arms around everything that Tech is doing?
Yeah, I think, again, you have to put it in the picture of what's happening in college athletics, especially today. July 1st being a big day for a lot of different reasons, right? Mm-hmm. Schools leaving conferences, schools coming into conferences, and you guys know this where you are. The Big 12 and the schools in the Big 12 have to say, hey, we are going to compete. We are going to compete at the highest level. It doesn't matter who's in this conference. The schools that are here are going to compete. We're serious about being players on a national level, and I think Texas Tech is making that statement. What we're doing with the facilities, what we're doing with the NIL commitment from our donors, and I know you've had Cody Campbell on your show before, and I think this is just another step. Adidas is committed to helping in the NIL space. Patrick is committed to helping in the NIL space. And I think this is just another brick for Texas Tech as we build what we're trying to build here. And I think that the momentum has changed for us, I believe, in a positive direction. Again, you have to win on the field. It all comes down to everything we do as a scoreboard. You got to win. It's better than losing, but you've got to have these pieces in place to get to that point, and I think this shows that we are getting to that place, or maybe are there.
Look good, feel good, play good, right?
I hope so, yes.
Yeah.
So you had a great that's a great way to put it. Yeah, absolutely. You had the great player in Patrick Mahomes II. The success wasn't always there, but he was a dynamic playmaker. And then, of course, now what he's done in the NFL with the 3 Super Bowl titles, and to have that's your guy. I mean, that's Patrick Mahomes. He went to Texas Tech. Could you have picked anyone better than what he's done for you as a school, as an NFL star?
No, and I'll be honest, not that I've researched this profusely, but I don't know really any other big star like Patrick, and he is one of the most recognizable faces in the country and maybe the world in the world of athletics. And he really loves this place, and he wants to give back to this place, and he wants to help this place. And he's doing it the right way. He's an easy guy to root for. He's turned this entire community that used to be Cowboy fans into Chiefs fans. And you can't go anywhere in Lubbock without seeing a Chiefs flag or a Chiefs jersey. And he has reciprocated that. The love that Texas Tech and Lubbock has given him, he has given it back to us. He comes back to events. He speaks highly. He's in Quarterback, the Netflix show, and he's wearing Tech gear in that. He is just genuinely interested in helping Texas Tech. And you guys know Joey. Joey is such a relationship guy, and Joey and Patrick have really hit it off. And, Patrick's just the kind of guy, he's probably, he's not going to embarrass you. He's probably going to always be around and help you out. And he's a guy that we can count on. And yeah, I think it's a match made in heaven. Wish we had won more than when he was here. But unfortunately, he can't play defense too, right? And that was the problem when he was here. They're putting up the numbers. That guy can do a lot. He just can't play every position on the field. But he did all he could as quarterback, and we are certainly very proud of him.
I do remember I covered Patrick in high school, did radio for White House for a couple of years. I missed his senior year because I came down here, but he did play safety his sophomore year. So, he wasn't so exhausted playing QB. Yeah, right. No. So you mentioned
he
Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Oh, no.
I'm just going to heap more praise on Patrick. He doesn't need any more praise from me. He is a guy that when he comes back, he remembers every academic advisor. He remembers every nutrition person. He remembers everyone that was here with him. He is just the genuine thing.
Yeah, no, I grew up in Tyler, knew his mom and dad, and yeah, I've always heard great things, and then got to see it in person myself, and so on and so forth. And yeah, Texas Tech and just everybody's blessed with the presence of Patrick Mahomes. You did mention that there's going to be some uniforms with that Gladiator Patrick Mahomes logo. You mentioned, basketball, possibly football. Was what unveiled today the full package, or do you guys have more surprises in store? Just kind of how's all that going to work? Obviously you haven't shown anything but football, but from a football standpoint, is this the full meal, or are you guys going to have other things that you drop along the way?
We'll have a Gladiator to drop along the way in football and in baseball, and eventually the other sports. Tomorrow we are going to unveil, I believe it's tomorrow, our soccer uniforms.
Okay.
A little bit later we'll unveil our volleyball uniforms. But football, you've seen it today. Now we've done some cool social media things, and I want to take this opportunity. If you're a Tech fan out there and you're not following our social media, do so, because our social media team just crushed it today. And, we were going to try to hold on to the uniforms as long as we could. And Patrick is PM too, and he likes to do things 2 p.m. on social media. And we were going to hold the uniforms off to 2 p.m., but there started to be kind of a little mini revolt online, and fans wanted to see the uniforms. So we went ahead and said, okay, let's show them what we have. So we'll have a few other things, that just little things, but that was the big drop today. And people have seen the uniforms that we have right now.
All right, Robert Giovanetti, again with us, Texas Tech, Senior Associate Athletic Director, also External Operations, Strategic Communications. What does today mean, in your opinion, the Big 12? With Texas and Oklahoma, that's official. They're having parties after parties, and now the new 4 that allow from the Pac-12. And is it almost a breath of fresh air moving forward? Yes, those 2 programs put up a lot, did a lot. But is it almost a breath of fresh air in any way in the Big 12 today?
Yeah, I think all of us miss those traditional rivals, right? That those games that you've grown up and remember going to those games, and they're easy schools to root against, the teams that are leaving. But yeah, I think in a way, Commissioner Yormark has really got a good vision for the Big 12. Excited about the schools that are coming in. Excited about the opportunity for all of us, right? There's an opportunity there to say, I think the league is secure now, where maybe a couple of years ago we were all sitting around fretting, saying, hey, what's going to happen? I think you saw Commissioner Yormark step up and make sure that the Big 12 was going to be a player on the national landscape. And so, yeah, I think you're right. I think it is a breath of fresh air. You can't sit and worry about who left and who doesn't want to be here. You have to worry about, okay, this group we have, and this league has to do a better job of kind of propping each other up and saying, hey, what's best for the league, instead of maybe cannibalizing and trying to look at what's singularly best for your school. If we're going to survive in this environment, and I think we will, we have to look at this as a tremendous opportunity for all of us that are left here, and all those that are coming in, to say, hey, yeah, this is the best basketball school in the country. Basketball conference in the country. We play great baseball in this conference. We're not going to take a backseat in baseball. And then we have to really, make our presence known in football, obviously, and in all the other sports as well. And again, women's basketball has always been strong here. The Big 12 has a lot to hang their hat on. We can't be apologetic. We can't be worried about what we're not. We have to be excited about what we are. And I think what we are is very unique. And I think we have a great opportunity, not only here in this part of the country, but on the national landscape as well.
I don't think you could say it much better at all. Robert, thank you very much. Congratulations on the day, the unveiling of the Adidas, the uniforms, and so much more, the brand, the Patrick Mahomes part, the Gladiator brand. Thank you for your time, and have a great rest of your day and week.
Hey, guys, thank you, too, and have a great holiday.
Robert Giovanetti, where they got how they're the clamoring, show it to us, kind of like everyone is right now with EA 25, a college football 25 game, although that's going to be in the middle of this month.
Yeah, I think the EA is worse as far as the clamoring goes. Like, some people that really need this game just need to chill out. Need to really chill out and just enjoy this game. But no, that's just showing the excitement level and the anticipation. And you've seen a lot of other Big 12 schools drop uniform updates this offseason: Iowa State, West Virginia, Baylor, TCU, and now Texas Tech as well, which you knew was coming with the Adidas switch. And to have an iconic player in the making like Patrick Mahomes to be a part of it as well really amps it up even a little bit more than just the brand switch in general. And I do know this: shoulder stripes are very popular this offseason. It's like
Ohio State did something with that,
everybody's doing it. It seems like, and that's not just Nike, it's Adidas as well. So I think that's just the style that's in vogue, I guess you would say, now. So that's noticeable right off the top. But yeah, they look sharp. I look forward to seeing alternate how they do that. But Seems like everybody's excited. They look good. It's hard to screw up black, red, and white. I mean, I think that's the easiest, best color combination that there is, especially if you can throw in a little – I think they've thrown in gray at times, and I think that's the absolute best combo of colors. So they're already working with some good tools, and Adidas finished the rest, and I think the reveal was great. And, like I said to Robert, look good, feel good, play good, and he hopes that's the idea. And they certainly seem to have good vibes. They've got some good new threads and good new facilities, and obviously a lot to like about what's going on in Lubbock right now.
Yeah, I think that they clearly have really good alignment from top to bottom. They've got things going on, and they've not been a school that's complained about the new world of athletics very much. They very much welcomed it. They were ready to go. Cody Campbell and all of that happened, and then it doesn't hurt to have Patrick Mahomes.
No, that helps incredibly.
I mean, that is capitalizing on your luck right there. Because
if he would have been
that's
just
a lottery ticket.
Good, yeah, exactly.
They won the lottery.
If he could have been just a good NFL quarterback, it still doesn't hurt. But he is the quarterback.
I mean, he's the dude right now. And to the stripes, Craig, I have this weird vision in my head because they're everywhere of just a bunch of college football commissioners and some dude from Milan coming up and going, for this season's uniforms.
Yeah.
And they're just pulling off a curtain and going, we do stripes.
I think that's what it is, though. I mean, yeah, you're joking and it's funny because that's true. I think that's the trend is the shoulder stripes because that's been a constant across all the sets that we've seen so far for the most part. But yeah, going back to Patrick, that was a lottery ticket that I don't think that maybe Cliff Kingsbury knew he was going to be that good. I have my doubts though that anybody knew he was going to be winning Super Bowls at the clip that he's winning them at before he even turns 30 and becoming the biggest American football player in the entire world in 5 years' time. And to a guy who's, celebrity is now going past just being an NFL quarterback. His wife's a celebrity at this point. So, that's the kind of star power you're talking about. But, then you add in Travis Kelce and there's Taylor Swift. And, it's as big as it could possibly be, really. And so that was just something that you worked your way into because you recruited the young man and you signed him. But, you talk about, not knowing what you were signing up for and it in a good way of, it being so much more than you could ever have anticipated. And so, yeah, that's going to pay dividends for them for a really long time. And just crazy to see how he's taken off. But, I'm not going to say at all that I predicted he was going to be some massive megastar, but it was easy to see there was something special about him when you watched him as a sophomore, junior in high school. Why aren't more teams recruiting him? By the end of his time, there were more teams recruiting him, but he was stuck on Tech. That was his first love, and that's one of the first teams that recruited him, and Kingsbury, and he stuck with them even when other teams came calling. And look what it's turned into. It's turned into an industry.
His father used to text me back when he was still in high school. Hey, can you tell Art Briles that Patrick would love to play at Baylor? It was because he had interest, but there wasn't a lot. And of course, God bless Cliff Kingsbury and Texas Tech for being where he ended up.
By the way, commitment notes.
I saw it, yeah. Go ahead and give that.
Jackson Blackwell, who is a young man from Lorena High School, which is just down the road from here, a defensive lineman. He has committed to Baylor here in the last 15 minutes, so he will not be going very far from home. He'll have a nice short drive to see the family and folks and friends. But, all-state, first-team defense. A lot of different accolades for him, 6'3", 300. He has committed to Dave Aranda and the Bears, and they needed that one. So that's just a little bit of breaking news there.
Man is right.
Yeah.
He's big. Yeah. And look, I have no problem saying that this is we know Lorena well. This might be the biggest kid I've ever seen from Lorena.
Yeah, he's the dude that is blown up as far as his recruiting. There's a handful of teams out of the Big 12 that also had given him offers. This was a nice win for Dave Aranda and Baylor. He's a junior, about to be a senior at Lorena High School this fall.
And I just noticed as well, not to take their thunder from Tech and then from Baylor, but K-State looks like they just landed a 5-star tight end. The first 5-star player, if I'm reading this correctly, in program history.
Good for them.
Lincoln Cure from Goodland High School, class of 25. 6'6", 225, 5-star tight end. So, there's some Breaking news.
I saw that tease at the end of last week about him making the announcement, and saw those who cover K-State, they felt really good about him. So good for K-State. Everybody in the Big 12, get as much talent as you possibly can and acquire it for not only now but also in the future. We got him?
Yeah, we got him.
All right, we are now joined by CJ Fite. He's the defensive lineman at Arizona State University. I don't know if anybody's father loves to promote their son the way CJ does. I get stuff from him all the time, direct messages, and tags me on various Twitter feeds. CJ, good-looking young man, thanks for being a part of the show. Am I right about that? We don't have the audio. Hold on just a second. Got it?
CJ, can you say something for us real quick?
Okay, let's do this. Let's break.
Okay.
Let's break. Let's make sure we get this right. CJ Fite, I've been waiting to get him on. He's from Tatum High School in East Texas, and he had a lot of offers, but Arizona State landed him. He's had a hell of a start to his career. And CJ Fite from from Tatum. Oh, we got him now. Okay, good. CJ, now we got you. Thanks for being a part of the show. How much, your father, I mean, you are on podcast after podcast after podcast. How much time do you have on your hands?
Oh, man. I try to make it work.
So it's great to have you on the show. What is the feeling in Tempe about the upcoming season and Arizona State being a part of the Big 12 and now a conference that you know all about from where you grew up?
It's a lot of anticipation going to this. Everybody's excited to get a new start, just to go surprise new people and just show everybody what Arizona State's about.
What do people not know about your team? I mean, obviously, they can see last year and you guys kind of got punched in the gut before the season with that, the bowl thing and all that I know that hurt you guys. But what do they not know about Kenny Dillingham and you guys that you're ready to kind of unleash on the world?
They don't know how much work we put in. They expect us to kind of not work as hard or not do as much or, not have as much confidence. But, we still have the confidence that probably every other team has. And we feel like we can win. So I just feel like this year we're going to surprise some people because nobody's expecting us to do anything. So it's going to be a great year.
CJ, are you excited for the conference move? I mean, being able to get back to Texas at least a couple times a year, see some familiar faces, I'd imagine. Is that exciting for you?
Oh, yes, sir. It's exciting. When we found out that we were moving, when I saw it on Twitter, I think my dad had sent it to me. So I got out of workouts. My dad sent it. I looked at it. I was so excited because, that's just the Big 12 and SEC. Those are like the two main conferences I watched growing up. So be able to move to the Big 12, it's great. It's a great feeling.
And I've been noticing that in recruiting, but also you got a lot of Texas guys, right? I mean, I know they're starting to attack Texas even harder now with the move to the Big 12, but can you just kind of talk about the Texas contingent that you're a part of and just trying to add on to that in the coming years?
Yes, our staff. We have a lot of Texas guys on the staff, and everybody knows if you want some good players, you go to Texas. So it's starting to get that Texas to Tempe movement going on. So I'm all for it.
So, you've been able to develop as you got older, and you have two siblings that also pushed you and were mentors for you. How much, and one of them, I think, still playing college football. How much did that help you growing up?
Growing up, it was like a step up on the people that I was also getting recruited with me. Like my sister, she went through it first, learned how to go through the recruiting process, just things like that. So she kind of paved the way for all of us. And my brother, he's the one that really, when he got recruited, he really popped off. So he taught me so much going through the recruiting process or even how to play football. I'll say he probably changed the way I played the most. In high school, he was like his motor that he played with. Every time I watched him, I was like, I got to play with that motor. So now I owe my motor the way I play to him for sure. And so really just being able to be behind them and learn from them, I learned a lot just watching them and them teaching me certain things.
All right, CJ, say I'm a guard. I'm lined up across from you. Am I going to hear a lot from you, or am I just going to wait and then we're getting into a scrap. How does it go? Are you a trash talker like a John Randall, or are you a silent assassin?
I'm a silent assassin for sure. You'll hear a lot of pre-play stuff. I'm talking to the D line or talking to the linebackers, but you won't hear too much trash talk unless somebody starts it. I'm not going to just let you talk however you want, but I'm not going to start anything. But if you want to start something, I'll start talking back.
You had a couple of times when you were in high school where your career was in jeopardy because of injuries, ankle, knee, surgeries, all of that. How did you keep focused and stay determined to get where you are today?
I'd say it's really my faith. My whole family, I grew up and we were, we're a big Christian family. So growing up, I always knew I had to have faith in God. So really just having that faith, I knew that it was in his hands and it was going to work out. So it was just doing everything I could to make sure I stayed in a good position to keep going.
So, CJ, we're going to know the new teams that are coming over and, learn a little bit about just everything about the program. But what can you tell us about your head coach there, Kenny Dillingham? What's he like to play for, just the personality? Just what stands out to you about him as a leader of the Sun Devils football program?
His energy for sure. You don't see very many coaches kind of really people in general in this profession that they're like good people, like they're good with people. So the energy he brings every day and the connections he makes. He's in the locker room like almost every day. He'll come there, talk to us, and he'll be in the game room playing games with us. So he builds that connection to where you want to play for him. So it's really his energy and how he connects to the players and the coaches. He treats everyone the same. So, and he's real. If you don't know where you stand, he'll let you know for sure. He'll let you know how you are. So.
You're on the defensive line. We brought that up. You've got to have some weight, muscle, bulk, whatever, but you've trimmed down. How did you do it?
Just working with Coach Joe, watching what I eat. We have our nutritionist and we have our strength staff. So going through the workouts and then watching what I eat, just make sure I get enough protein and that I watch my carbs, just things like that. Just watching what I put in my body and how I train. It really helped. I just dropped.
CJ Fite, defensive lineman at Arizona State, with us on 365 Sports.
What did you have to cut out the most?
I'd say fried foods and chips. I was bad when it came to those.
Oh, I'd be too. I'd be mad too.
Yeah, that's why I make sure, like, if I want to snack on something, I make sure I get some fruit because back home, like, if there was something in the pantry, I'd go grab it, snack on it, and then it didn't hold me over. And it didn't fill me up, so I go get another one. So that's really what hurt me growing up. I just kept going back for snacks and things like that. So now I try to watch my snacks and how I snack, like protein bar or some fruit. I'll do that instead.
Okay, which chips are the ones that got you the most that you just could not get away from?
I say the kettle cooked jalapeno chips.
Oh,
yeah. Right on, man. I'm all over the kettle cooks.
The kettle cooks, they get me. I was like, I got to watch for those. So, yeah.
And I love kettle cooked, just potato chips in general.
The crunch.
Here's the deal. If they made those illegal, you would see me out there like on the street corner, be like, you got salt and vinegar? You got salt and vinegar over there? Come on, let's get jalapeno. You got jalapeno? Just put it in here.
Yeah, especially Miss Vicky's. I'll do some Miss Vicky's chips.
Oh my goodness, yeah. You were third in your class, I think, academically at Tatum High School. You also a pretty good chess player. Is that Is that also what you use in a way, vice versa, as a defensive lineman against who's up across on the other side of you?
I say it takes to kind of move up. I had to kind of use more strategy. So I say chess does play a part. Because in high school, I was really just using my strength and doing certain things. So now it's like having more IQ and trying to use it to my advantage. So things like that. So I say the strategy of chess really does help for sure.
CJ Fite, Arizona State, with us on 365 Sports.
CJ, I think you kind of mentioned this towards the top of the interview, but here we are. We're heading into Media Days next week. There's going to be a lot of talk about the upcoming season. We're getting into that time of year. You guys know kind of where you're being viewed towards the bottom of the league coming in. Not a lot of, confidence in you guys, some doubts. How are you all handling that internally? Is that much of a conversation, or you guys just kind of keep your heads down and work, or are you using it as motivation? How do you kind of weaponize that or not?
We really don't pay too much attention to it. We know it doesn't hold very much weight. If we do, we need to do. I mean, all that goes out the window. So I'd say we know how hard we're working, and we know that all the people that are outside talking about us and saying what we're not going to do, what we are going to do, they're not the ones in there with us putting in the work. So we know if we just stay together and do what we need to do, that we'll be okay.
All right, so you have some bloodlines that are pro players. Bud Dupree, Demaryius Thomas, I think, also a part of the lineage. Did you ever get a chance to pick their brain? You get to see them much, or is that just part of your bloodlines?
Nah, it's just part of the bloodline. It was on my, I think both of them on my mom's side. So my mom's side, they're in the Austin area, but I think they were. I don't know where they were. So, but I didn't really.
All right.
See them.
I don't think you'll mind me bringing this up, but I believe that when you were at Tatum High School, that former Baylor offensive line coach Eric Mateos, who's now at Arkansas, was the one who recruited the East Texas area, and he liked you a lot. Do you remember that recruitment and maybe why or what you ended up at Arizona State, which is great, but do you remember that recruitment?
Yes, I do for sure. I remember that it wasn't going to work at D-line, so they were trying to recruit me. He was trying to recruit me to come play center. So that's really, after that was the kind of it.
What do you like to do most, hunt or fish?
Fish for sure. I'd say hunting. If we shoot something like within the first, I say the first hour, then hunting's cool. But I'd rather fish. Hunting, it's just too much sitting around for me. And sometimes fishing can be boring if it's a bad day, you don't catch too much. But I say fishing for sure.
Can you tell me the story about your father and the advice he was giving you out in the woods as you guys were going out to hunt about you have to always be ready for a deer? You never know when one might come up on you. Can you recall what happened that day? Yeah,
so we were going out there. I think we were setting traps for a hog. And he was like, you always got to keep your rifle on you because you never know a deer might pop out on you. So we were out there, and I think we were just pulling up. So we were pulling up. He said, "What I tell you, there's a deer right there. I don't have my gun on me," but he had his 357. So he grabbed it. He said, "Lean your seat back," but it's a electric seat. So I'm going back slow. So he pulls the gun. He just puts it out the window, and he shoots it. And he shoots it like, I don't know how many times he shot it. So then that whole time, he didn't even hit the deer. So that whole time we were sitting there, and our ears was just ringing the whole time, and I was just sitting there. We were just laughing the way back because it was just the thing of the seat not going back fast enough. He thought the seat was going to fly back.
Oh my goodness, yeah.
Slow, and it was crazy.
He said you were terrified.
Yeah, no, I didn't think he was actually going to do it. He just pulled a gun. It was right there. It was like right here. I'm just looking at the gun. I'm like, I was sick.
So Craig brought up Arizona State joining the Big 12. We've discussed that as well. You have been good. I mean, you made an impact right away. Did you play better than you even thought, no matter the chip on your shoulder, your first year, your freshman year?
I'd say I exceeded my expectations because I wasn't even really expecting to play. I was more of trying to come in because I just came off my ankle surgery, so I was just going to come in and try to rehab, get my body back right, and learn from the vets. So being able to go out there and play, I'm blessed to be able to be in that situation for sure.
We look forward to seeing you. CJ, it was great when the schools that were coming into the Big 12, and also the connection with you. And, man, people love talking to you that cover Arizona State. Sun Devil fans have fallen in love with you. We appreciate your time. Good luck. We'll see you soon.
Yes, sir. I appreciate y'all for having me.
CJ Fite from Tatum High School with us on 365 Sports. And, I mean, he's a baller now. He mixes it up and is done. Baylor wanted him. They were interested, but they did not feel like, based on what they were doing with the defensive line, that he was going to be a defensive line fit. Well, he's starting as a freshman at Arizona State and will be a handful for people into the future too.
Yeah, I mean, maybe that worked out better for him in the long run. I mean, if you don't just cram a guy somewhere if you don't feel like he fits. If he was a square peg and they were looking for a round one, then, that makes sense. But, there's always the opportunity or the chance that he wreaks havoc on them and they go, well, it wouldn't be the first time that's happened in recruiting where you're like, should have recruited that guy harder. I mean, everybody's got a few of those, but yeah, they're not the only ones by any stretch. A lot of schools could have gone after him, so hopefully he blossoms even further and has a terrific career, easy to root for, and I know you've known his dad quite a while, and I'm always going to root for East Texas guys, being a Tatum Eagle. I respect that and love that, and so, yeah, great to talk to CJ, and what a great representative for Arizona State. I mean, I don't think he's on their media day list, probably too young,
that's
but
what I looked at,
I think he'll be there in a couple of years if things keep going the way they're going.
And he would be popular on Radio Row, so to speak, as they call it. Thanks to Doug with the Athletic Communications Department for setting that up for us, and we will see Arizona State and everyone else at the Big 12 Media Days next week. We fly into Vegas on Monday. We broadcast from there Monday evening, afternoon, and then, of course, Media Days on both Tuesday and Wednesday from Allegiant Stadium.
Where are we broadcasting on Monday?
From inside the stadium. Okay. It opens up really early, and, of course, we're flying in really early, and we'll be able to set up, maybe decompress, and then start the show.
Look, I just ordered our line today. If we could start maybe broadcasting from there today, it would make it worth it.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah,
Las Vegas, baby.
Did they Jerry Jones you?
No. They Mark Davis us, which is a triple Jerry Jones. So we had to dial it back a little bit because I was like, I just ordered what we had last year at AT&T Stadium, which seems like a good down-home bargain.
Well, we need to I know we're welcoming in all the West Coast-ish teams, but I think we need to get back in your Mark's ear about the whole Frisco Star situation.
Well, he brought that up,
we brought that up, and he was like, we informed him that's where they used to hold Big 12 Media Days. He had no idea until we were there for the Big 12 Combine, we brought that up, and you could see what? On his face.
To me, it's the perfect size.
It's the perfect size. It's a more central location for everybody because it's not – but I get this year. I get, doing it differently and going to Las Vegas. I don't have a problem with that or an issue with that whatsoever, but I do think that the Star in Frisco probably makes more sense moving forward.
I would love the Star, do it, every fourth year – you just throw out a new thing.
Sure, yeah.
So, star, Vegas. Star, Denver.
Stillwater.
But, go to a place that's within the footprint, go to Orlando and do it,
Isn't it weird, though, the timing of when the stadium's not available and they go to Vegas, which makes sense in a way because of the four corner schools and the location, and it's Vegas. And the SEC is going to be at the Omni in downtown Dallas.
See, they do that, and they do it just I don't even know what the right word for it. I was going to say cutthroat, but it's not cutthroat. It's just smart. It's just smart, absolutely. Calculated business, and it's like others are too scared to do that. You know what I mean? Others are too scared about hurting feelings or stepping on toes, and the SEC is like, we're just going to do what we want, and you can't do anything about it. And I know that they have a certain weight behind that not everybody else has. But yeah, there's all that talk about the Big 12 getting pushed out of Dallas. Well, first of all, they're in Arlington. It's not the same thing to begin with. It's Arlington and Dallas are nowhere close to each other in the big big picture thing. It's two separate towns. But there was that talk, and it's like, if that was the case, if that had anything to do with anything, which doesn't make sense that it would, push back on that. What the hell are we talking about here? Don't get shoved around out of your own, backyard because all of a sudden Texas and Oklahoma are in the league. But, I get it. There's a different sort of media following for those two. And so I think for the SEC, it's just brilliant to have it in Dallas proper as their first year with Oklahoma and Texas. But, yeah, for the Big 12, Vegas also makes a lot of sense this first year. I don't think it's an every year go-to, though. I think it should definitely go back to more of a central location for everybody, especially when you are almost coast to coast. Texas is right there in the middle of it. I say that selfishly, of course, but it fits.
Absolutely. I love just driving up an hour and a half to go do what we do, or 2 hours to go to Frisco or whatever, but it'll be interesting since we were in Vegas earlier this year for the Super Bowl. When we come back, a couple of notes. Greg Sankey was asked about horns down on this July 1st as Texas and Oklahoma enter the conference. My thoughts about them leaving, those two schools leaving, my perspective, and now we'll get yours too. We're still not done. We have other guests to get to at 5 o'clock today. We're going to end up hearing from J.J. Joe, former Baylor quarterback, Baylor color radio analyst, and also Paul's Top 5. This is 365 Sports.
Cars priced right, day and night. lots of room. Have Richard Carr in Texas. Count on us, a dealer to trust. Have Richard Carr in Waco, Texas.
Established in 2007 and independently owned, Alliance Bank Central Texas is committed to helping families and businesses meet their financial goals. From their tellers to their board of directors, they know the importance of superior service and competitive products. Customers have confidence knowing that their financial needs are in good hands. It's your bank, Alliance Bank Central Texas, with 2 Waco locations, 4721 Bosque Boulevard and 191 Archway Drive on Highway 84, and at AllianceBankTexas.com. Member FDIC and equal housing lender.
Developed by Startup Waco, a nonprofit organization, GXG is a program designed to support the entrepreneurial development of Baylor University student athletes through NIL activations. The program helps student athletes maximize their platforms and offers a comprehensive support system for them to create and grow new businesses that not only benefit themselves, but also uplift the local economy. Fans who wish to support student athletes can donate to GXG via the GXG NIL Fund, BaylorBears.com/GXG. Contributions to support NIL activations through GXG can be made at BaylorBears.com/GXG. For more information, follow at GXG_GreenXGold on social media and visit the official website www.gxg.startupwaco.com. GXG, empowering student athlete entrepreneurship and uplifting the local economy through NIL activations.
Riverbend Liquor and Wine now has 2 locations to serve you. The original on Lakeshore Drive in North 19th Street and the brand new spot in downtown Waco at 600 Franklin Avenue. If you're looking for the best in craft beers or local Texas bourbons, then the original is the place to be. And for the latest trends and online phenomenons, head downtown to the Franklin location. Either way, you're going to get the same great variety, customer service, and speedy experience. Check out both locations on their Facebook and Instagram pages, Riverbend Liquor and Wine, Lakeshore Drive at North 19th Street, and now downtown on Franklin Avenue.
This is 365 Sports, powered by Sikkim365.com.
The 4 o'clock hour is sponsored by Boozer's Jewelers, the wedding ring store, specializing in custom jewelry and repair, all in-house.
Now, here's David Smoke, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoke.
365 Sports, we appreciate your time. Great to have Cullen, CJ Fite, Arizona State defensive lineman, with us on the show earlier today. We'll have Tim Healy, who's their play-by-play man. He'll be on with us tomorrow. And Jeremy Branham, who's the sideline reporter for University of Houston football, is a part of, that's Wednesday's show. So there we are also with that. Noah Lyles knocked Michael Johnson out of the U.S. Olympic trials 200-meter record over the weekend. This dude can fly, and it's amazing because it's been a while since Michael Johnson set that record, but Lyles ran a 19.53. I don't know what the Olympic record is or where that is compared to Johnson, but it's been that long. As fast as guys get faster and faster, there's still certain things that take a long time.
Yeah, and Michael Johnson has always been one of my favorite Olympic athletes. And, of course, I think your favorite Olympics kind of revolves around your formative years. I can't decide if mine's 92 in Barcelona because of the first Dream Team or if it's 96 in Atlanta because that was here in the States. But, I mean, I remember 96 in Atlanta was an absolute Michael Johnson show. And for that to stand as long as that has shows you how good he was. Mm-hmm. And because guys haven't gotten, it hasn't stayed the same for the most part. Most guys are faster now than they were a few years ago.
Yes.
Techniques have changed. Diets have changed. Methods, and part of this is because of things that Michael Johnson helped pioneer, but methods of recovery have changed from injury and all these different things. So, for that to stand as long as it has, considering so many other records have not only been broken, but absolutely obliterated in track and field since 1996, shows you how ahead of his time he was.
There's no question I have respect. Go ahead, Craig. I have respect for the history of Texas and Oklahoma and across the board in a lot of what they do. And the fact that they decided it was time for them to move on, God bless them, go make the money and maybe go win more championships. But one thing I will not miss is sometimes the back and forth about this freaking horns down, which, by the way, Texas Tech kind of they're the ones that kind of launched that. They got Mac Brown chirping and eventually horns down, which I just couldn't believe it. I really it just got to a point where there are people that get angry about it, and some officials would call it and some referees, whatever, would not. So here's Greg Sankey when he was asked about horns down. I will not be answering questions about football penalties on July the 1st.
Okay, you can answer them in a couple weeks then.
Yeah.
At media days.
But
I cannot imagine. It won't surprise me, but the SEC fan bases will lose their shit if in fact this becomes a penalty.
Yeah, they will, considering that all of them have their hand gesture thrown back in their face 12 times a year. I'm going to pay a compliment to the Gators right now, so mark this moment in history. When Georgia State scores a 70-yard touchdown on them early in a game that they're going to lose 38-7, guess what Georgia State does? They chomp at them. And guess what Florida does? They turn around and they go back to the sideline. That happens all over the SEC. If you've got a gesture, they throw it back in your face, and guess what happens? Nothing. Nothing happens. It's not taunting. It's nothing. You've done nothing. You're just playing the game and how it is. But somehow the powers that be, I don't know who created this.
No, Texas Tech, there was a game against Texas when this kind of launched, that's the story.
But I don't know who created the about it at Texas. How dare you?
Well, because then Texas threw up the guns.
Okay.
And,
But who at Texas decided to make this a whole thing that when Jesse Palmer did a horns down on a broadcast a couple weeks later, that he had to come back and be like, well, Texas, I'm not saying horns down, I'm just showing the gesture. I don't know who it was that decided, and they clearly were a powerful person in Texas. And it might have been DeLoss Dodds.
It might have been Mac Brown.
Brown said about it.
Mac's the one that first started talking about it because it was a little hypocritical that doing the horns down was not a penalty. When a Texas player scored and did hit the guns up or down, he got penalized.
Yeah, well, of course, Texas hits a penalty, and of course, there's got to be something wrong. But, just the pearl clutching that happened about it, I'm glad it's out of the Big 12, and I'm interested to see if they try to pull that in the SEC, because I just don't think that it's going to go.
I just think it's such a stupid topic every year, and it really just has been made to be such a big thing where it really shouldn't be. I think the rule is pretty clear of you can't just go throw it in the face of a player after you score a touchdown. That's taunting. That's pretty clear. I don't think you guys would really care what gesture it is. If you go up and you get in a dude's grill right after you score, that's going to be a flag, right? So I think if you go up to somebody and you're throwing the horns down, then it's asking for a flag. Now, when Will Greer did it in that incredible West Virginia win in Austin a few years ago, and he did it towards the crowd and got penalized. Thankfully, it didn't cost him that game. But I thought that was he's doing it to fans who were throwing some other symbols back at him, mind you, and saying some things. So he was going at the fans. I didn't really understand that one, unless I'm just misremembering it. But that's what I remember is him scoring and going to the fans and throwing the horns down. So if I'm wrong on that, then I'll correct that. But there are instances like that where I do feel it's not as egregious as it's made out to be or sound like. And I think a lot of Texas fans think it's probably too blown up of an issue. So, this is why it becomes an issue, is because Greg Sankey's asked about it, and he's like, well, I'm not going to talk about that on July 1st.
Why not?
Yeah, why not? And have you not thought about it? And okay, we'll ask you again in a couple weeks. And I wonder and is somebody better whoever asked that question today, I hope you ask that question in a couple of weeks at SEC Media Days, because he said specifically, I'm not talking about that on July 1st. Well, let's talk about it on July whatever day you're in Dallas and get the actual answer, because it's a legitimate question. It was a penalty in the Big 12. Is it going to be a penalty in the SEC?
It started being a penalty in 2019. It's not like the entirety, but it started become officially a penalty.
Is it going to be a penalty in the SEC is a valid question, and I know fans are not going to listen to their commissioner that walks on water in regards to that. They are not going to be happy if it is.
Was he worried about offending somebody?
I don't know.
That's the SEC's. That's not their style.
Well, I don't know who got offended to begin with. To Paul, I don't know where this even started, and I don't know why it became such a big deal to begin with. I know that Texas Tech started it years ago.
Baylor actually is dating back to 1960 something.
Okay, well, I'm not talking about the origin of the hand symbol to begin with. I'm saying the whole talk about it.
The pearl clutching.
Yeah, I don't understand where that came from. I don't remember the incident that set that off, so I can't speak to that in full. All I know is that it has become a lot of pearl clutching, and there's a lot of things in college football that are just players having fun or throwing it back at fans, and for some reason, this is the thing where it bogs down to well, you can't do that.
Yeah.
And I, like I said, I understand it if you go up to the corner that you just beat and you just throw it right in his face. Yeah. That should be a penalty. Like anything else, taunting. Mm-hmm. But throwing it at the crowd when they're saying God knows what and doing who knows what, I think that's silly. So there's got to be a fine line, and I look forward to seeing Sankey answer whatever that is, because that is one of those things. I asked Garrett about this. They've been in the league for less than 24 hours. He's already sick of them.
I'm tired of them.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen Tennessee fans and plenty of other fan bases that are already like, oh, this is how it is? And it's like, you have no idea of what kind of the push and pull is going to be. So that whole give and take with Texas and the fans and the SEC and their fans is just going to be really fascinating, because the Big 12 just kind of bent over and did whatever Texas wanted whenever they wanted, for the most part, to keep them happy and keep them around. And now the SEC is not like, we're so thankful to have you. It's like, you're lucky to be here. Welcome. It's great to have you, but we didn't need you. It's good to have you as an addition, but we're not going to sit here and be like West Virginia or Texas Tech or whoever and just bow down to you. And I think that's where there's going to be a drastic difference between the environments they're used to and what they're going to be walking into. And they're ready for it, and it's going to be fun, but I do think it's going to be a huge difference from what it has been the last few years.
And to Texas's fans' credit, most of their fans couldn't care less about it.
Right.
They're the ones who are throwing the bird or saying, they don't care. The fans don't care. But something has happened for the last several years at the top of that university that floods on down to the coaches. Rodney Terry got,
well over his skis.
Got all sandy about it, after UCF did it, when they've been doing that to USF for years. So it wasn't really a thing. I remember a UCF fan sitting with a picture of socks he had that had horns down because they hate USF so much because they're the Bulls. Fans don't care, but somebody in the administration there, they've decided that this is the worst thing in the world, and it doesn't make any sense because it's just college football.
Well, We need to break because we have another guest coming up in JJ Joe. We even asked him.
Okay, let me read you a quick, just a quick discourse I had, talking of somebody on Twitter about this. It's a Longhorn fan, and he said that it was invented by Texas Tech. It's their fault. And I said, no. I said, I'm not saying the fans and the administration here are disconnected. The fans don't care. And he says, not any fan that I know. I said, I know, that's my point. I said, somebody cares. It's a penalty in the Big 12. And he said, no, the weak-ass Big 12 leadership did. It's so stupid. Well, why would they do that if Texas didn't make them do it?
Well, because they are scared of their own shadow.
Yeah.
By the way, last July at the SEC Media Days, and every media conference has an officials area, and they were asked about it. At the time, according to, I think it was Reddit, mentioned that it would not be a penalty. At least that's from July. Why Sankey wouldn't say anything, doesn't want to ruin the moment. It wouldn't ruin the moment. Just say it. Don't be like the Big 12 and be scared of your own shadow.
Well, if that's what it was, if that's what it was, or maybe he just doesn't want to start opening the floodgates. All of a sudden he's talking about this penalty and that penalty and all sorts of other football regulations things. But it does, because it's that specific topic. it does make you go, huh. It's weird he wouldn't answer that. So, maybe it was calculated. Like I said, he doesn't want to answer other miscellaneous stuff. Or maybe that is something that they're working on I don't know. But I do think there is an element that is a smaller element that is not indicative of the entire Texas fan base that is overly sensitive about it. And it paints the brush of the entire Texas fan base being overly sensitive about it. When as long as it's not being done, as I said, in somebody's face in an over-the-top manner, Will Greer flashing at a crowd, I don't see what the big deal is. I don't think that calls for a penalty, but we'll see how they handle it, and hopefully whoever asked that question, again, rounds back around here in a couple weeks and asks it again and gets an answer.
Remember that overtime game, or may have been regulation, I don't remember, when West Virginia hit a long pass for about 40 yards or so, in the last 10 seconds scored a touchdown, and the young man who caught it put up the horns down. And then Greer did a keeper and won the game. They went for 2, and he was doing it, I think, as he's running into the end zone. Would that not have been something had they thrown a flag in that moment?
They did.
To take the 2-point conversion?
Didn't they throw the flag on that?
To take it away from them was what I'm saying. Yeah, to take it away from them. All right. That's something that really don't have to deal with that anymore. Although, again, we're going to be covering everybody when it comes to college football.
Yeah, he got a penalty for that. Will Greer got. That's what I was saying earlier.
And the reason why, when I remember them throwing the flag, that I was like, no, most people didn't care, right?
Right.
The fact that there was still like 12 or 15 seconds left in the game, and you're up by 1, and you have to squib kick it, and let's say they run it back from where it's going to be kicking from the 25 rather than the 40 or 30. So that you never know how something like that can give a team a chance to kick a field goal for something like that because of the 15 yards.
And remember in that game, not only did Will Greer, but before that, David Sills
got
hit with it.
Yeah.
So they got hit with it twice late in that game. And that could have been far more controversial had West Virginia lost that game, but they won a thriller and were able to bypass it. But I'm looking forward to that answer because that's just one of those things that it's not a big deal. It's really not in the grand scheme of things. It's just an interesting topic because it is just sort of just unique. There's not a lot of other comparisons to make for it, but that's one of those things that will rile up SEC fans for sure. If all of a sudden they're told, you can't do the horns down or it's a 15-yard penalty, I can't wait to see the reaction to that if that's the case.
When we come back, J.J. Joe, former Baylor quarterback, but also a part of Baylor radio, color analyst. His thoughts. We really haven't checked in with anybody because we cover them too, but cover everybody in the Big 12. He's next. This is 365 Sports. Alan Samuels, Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram Fiat. They have begun the month of July, and there are various discounts and also available, of course, the award-winning Ram truck. They have Alan Samuels, Dodge, Chrysler, Jeep, Ram, Fiat, all of those brands, all of those models and discounts available with money off MSRP. But I also want to talk about, as you hit the summer, how important it is to make sure that if you are about to leave for a vacation, anything that's a pretty decent long drive, make sure you have your engine checked, your oil checked, and make sure your air conditioner and much more is also checked before you get on the road for maybe 500 or 1,000 or so miles one way and the other. Their service department has helped me many times. They're fantastic. Last time I went in there, I knew there was something wrong with my car because I could hear it. It was my brakes and, yes, the rotors. It was expensive, but I'm glad that they were able to help me out with that, and I got it back by the end of the day. Alan Samuels, Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram Fiat, Loop 340 east of 84 in Waco.
Automatic Chef Canteen is a full-service micro-market vending and office coffee provider with state-of-the-art vending equipment, a wide variety of products, and offering custom-fitted micro-market vending office coffee solutions for your employee break room. You want a full break room solution and a workplace oasis? Well, Automatic Chef Canteen, locally owned and operated for over 50 years in Central Texas, also includes in-house mechanics on call 24/7 for fast, reliable service and maintenance. Automatic Chef Canteen, 6900 Imperial Drive in Waco, or online at automaticchefcanteen.com.
Our good friend Brad Boozer, Boozer's Jewelers here at 365 Sports. Now, Brad, people who watch and listen to our show know I'm a double-time customer for you, engagement ring and wedding band, and you guys do that great, but that's not all you do at Boozer's Jewelers.
Absolutely, and I always like to say, it's a new year. It's a great way to start the year out. Go through your old jewelry. Go through your wife's jewelry box. Go through anything you're maybe not wearing, something that's broken, something that you're not using. We do a massive amount of custom work. We can take your old jewelry, old diamonds, old watches, and we can convert it into something special for you and make a one-of-a-kind piece of jewelry. And if that's not something you're interested in, a great thing is we can turn that into cash. So we buy gold, we buy diamonds, we'll buy Rolex watches, any kind of heirloom jewelry, anything that's maybe passed down to you.
Boozer's Jewelers, where do they find you, Brad?
We're at 1025 North Valley Mills Drive, right on the corner of Lake Air Drive and Valley Mills with the big clock on the corner.
This is 365 Sports.
The Sikkim 365 app is brought to you by Allen Samuels Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram Fiat. Come by, let's be friends.
Yeah, there's some discussion going on in the chat room, as you can always, it's going to happen. Brought to you by Rudy's Country Store Barbecue. Is Kim Coulter? Does anyone in this room, the chat room, think every Big 12 school didn't do the same thing as Tech did? Jesus. We'll ask JJ, did you just hit yourself in the face?
I did. I hit myself with the headphones.
JJ Joe,
I was on a camera.
Baylor radio color analyst, former Baylor quarterback with us on 365 Sports. Craig Smoke, Paul Catalina, David Smoke. It's been a while. Great to have you, JJ. Did you ever throw down the horns down sign in a game against Texas?
Yes. I'm trying to think what player has not thrown horns down.
So what was the reaction back then? Because obviously it became overly sensitive in the last decade.
Yeah, I think that's a recent thing. When we played them, when I played, it wasn't as big outside of the Texas OU game, but I remember playing down there in Smoke probably my sophomore year. We won the game, and I think I flicked horns down at least twice. So, the players really didn't react like they have. Everything's so sensitive now that, everybody kind of has their feelings on their sleeve. But it's no big deal.
Yeah. JJ, do you think it will be a penalty in the SEC like it was in the Big 12?
How can I say this? No. Not even close.
Yeah.
JJ, what do you just make of the Big 12 rolling in this year where there's all this onboarding going on? I know at the end of the month there will be more of that as well. I know you want to play Texas and play Oklahoma. You wanted to play A&M back in the day. All that's out there, but now Arizona State, Utah, so on and so forth. Just what do you make of all the changes, and how do you feel about the new look Big 12?
It'll be a change. I know last year we didn't. You don't play everybody. I kind of like that. But overall, I like what Mark and those guys were able to do. The landscape was, it was the speed of sound. And I believe the conference that we've been able to put together is exciting. We have some great brands. You still have Oklahoma State. I believe Baylor's a great brand. I believe TCU's a great brand. Utah's a solid team. You have Arizona State, Arizona, and, of course, BYU. I don't want to leave anybody out. There's many others. Kansas is going to be really good this year, K-State. So I like the conference we've been able to pull together and think it'll be really competitive.
JJ, they have the two quarterbacks, DeQuan Finn, who came in from Toledo, and Sawyer Robertson, who's coming back. He was already on campus, a guy that Mike Leach recruited when he was at Mississippi State. Do you have any idea where they're leaning and your thoughts about what they might do?
I'm not sure, Smoke. I try my best to stay away from the offseason, but I've heard Sawyer was solid. I think they like DeQuan Finn. Sometimes I don't know in practice and a lot of stuff they're doing now, they don't want to show too much in public because of NIL and transfer and people poaching your guys, but I think the guys, if you think about it, are similar in the sense that Sawyer, I believe, his legs are better than I thought. He showed that he can use his feet, and I believe the spread will really help him. So I think it'll be competitive in the fall. And if I had my druthers, I think, with DeQuan coming in, unless like Sawyer goes and just outperform him, and I don't want to take away competition, I think DeQuan with his experience probably gets the nod if he performs, because you have Sawyer there that got some experience last year as well. So it'll be interesting.
Do you think there's a legit battle, or is it DeQuan fins to lose?
My feeling is that I think with Aranda, I hate to say anything is just his to lose. I think he probably told him, hey, there's a great chance to compete is my understanding. And I think that he looked around, DeQuan is kind of what we've really been looking for as far as the dual threat quarterback, puts stress on defenses. But I really believe Sawyer has a chance. Think about it. Sawyer played good football against Utah. And if he doesn't get hurt, he may actually get us a dub in that game. So I think it's going to be really competitive. And I think if it's close, DeQuan will play because of the experience.
JJ, how do you feel about the change over in offense to what Jake Spavital likes to do as opposed to the wide zone, run heavy, tight end heavy type of offense that we've seen the past few years with Jeff Grimes? We're still going to see run heavy, but just a different style across the board. What are your kind of early impressions and just early thoughts on what they've done, not only with the coaching change, but personnel-wise on offense as well?
Yeah, Spavital, I know I'm not probably saying his name, but I like his offense. I like spreading guys out. I like having the opportunity to create advantages. I like the wide zone, but it really required you to have some guys up front. They didn't have to be dominant, but they had to be coordinated. They had to be together, and you really had to win certain matchups to make that thing work in multiple places. Here in the spread, as we found out against Texas State, and I know we got one of the receivers, man, as long as your guys can hold up for 2.5 seconds, you got a one-on-one match that you like, you can take advantage of that. So I like the offense. I like the spread. I hope it'll be interesting to see how the tempo is. But I think also creating those lanes inside where you don't have to be dominant, you can get position, helps the run game as well. So I like it.
JJ, how would you describe, I don't want to say desperate, but Dave Aranda has to win, and everybody else around him that he's brought in or whatever knows they have to win. Now, I don't know what the number is or what the start has to be or the win total at the end of the year. Well, I don't know that. But what's it like, do you think, to coach a team or the team to know that you have to win? Not just because you should, but that is something that is a must.
Welcome to big time athletics, and I think Aranda knows that. This thing now, Smoke, man, it's big time, it's big boy stuff. So, you win, or the constituents are gonna get a little restless, and they're gonna make a change. And Aranda came in, COVID, okay, we throw that one out. Had a really good year, won the conference, and then we've had two, but I would say people feel like it was below the expectation. So I've actually liked the desperation, because I think that's how you have to participate in this space now. You have to make, not that you're looking desperate and like I just need you, you wonderful player, but I think you just kind of have to have that energy and edge that, hey, it's time for us to win now. So I've been excited about the kids, the young men they've been able to bring in, how he's had to go about things. And I think we'll see the best version of Aranda, because I think having him more involved and unapologetic on the defensive side is only a good thing.
JJ, it would seem to be naive to approach it any other way, right? Because when you can see a team rebuild itself in 2 years as opposed to 5, as it used to be before, if you're not using every resource at your disposal in thinking that you can do something in 2 years, you're kind of missing the boat, aren't you?
Man, I think you guys probably heard from me last couple of years. I was really disappointed that we didn't follow up 21. It's simply because I thought the rules broke our way. I said that several times, so I'm not going to rehash it. I thought we got comfortable. And Baylor is never in a space where we can get comfortable. And I think if you look at how Coach Drew runs the basketball program, he's not desperate, but Coach Drew doesn't rest on anything. He lost a top 5 pick or whatever. He's going to get another top 5 pick. And he's doing it. He'll fly wherever. So I think we kind of relaxed a little bit after 21, and then we took a little slide. And then by the time we figured it out, that level of desperation you need to play at and to participate at the high level, I think we just missed it that time. Hopefully we've been able to make up some ground here, and we'll be able to figure out what it looks like. We'll find out what it looks like in the fall.
JJ, did you make it to any spring practices by any chance?
No, I didn't, man.
Okay.
I did not make it. They were going to have the spring game, and, of course, they weren't going to call. I was going to come down, but I didn't make any spring practice. Got some good reports. I talked to John and Ricky about what they were seeing, but never did make it down.
Yeah, I was just wondering if you saw Gary Patterson in Baylor gear, and what your reaction to that was.
Hey, I'll tell you this, man. When I saw it, I didn't see it. I mean, when I heard about Gary coming, and then I've seen, of course, the stuff on, social media, it's kind of like, it's kind of like Twilight Zone, right? Mm-hmm. But everything is turned on its head, man, nowadays, right? They're about the players are playing for I mean, it's crazy. Yeah. So, Gary, hey, let's just put it this way. Gary is a fantastic football coach. And whether we like him or not, he's a fantastic coach that beat our butt more times than we beat his butt. So I think he can help, and I'm all for it.
Isn't that rivalry, and it really was launched when it was like, way to go Big 12, way to go. Not that it wasn't before, but way to go Big 12 when they had Dalton and all those guys, and they just hammered Baylor, I think, in 2010.
You mean when their current strength coach almost went at a guy in the stands?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. When I remember that.
Yeah. Is it weird how rivalries are, though? Because Baylor can lose to TCU even when they're much better that year. And yet when TCU has a third or fourth string quarterback or whatever, if you'll remember that game, they get a couple of punt returns or a reverse for a touchdown. How weird rivalries work sometimes.
Yeah, it's hard to explain, and I think part of it is, generally speaking, and transfers has changed it, these guys kind of know each other. Either they played in the same district, they competed in some camp together, so I think that helps it, and there's no intimidation factor, no matter what the records are. When I was in school, man, we lost to Rice, I think 2 of the 4 years or 3 of the 4 years I was there. It was the craziest thing. They were not any good, but, I mean, a lot of our guys were from Houston. A lot of their guys played in Houston. They knew them. They weren't intimidated. We were 7 in the country. We lose to Rice at home. And it just was – I can't explain rivalries, man, but it happens.
JJ, have you thought about how Coach Taft would approach this era of college football? I mean, he's very much was a traditionalist, and for a long time, I mean, he really didn't want a college football playoff. I mean, he's a coach that believed in a bowl system. How do you think he would approach recruiting and NIL and everything that goes on now?
I think Coach Taft, I don't think he would have pulled a savings. I believe Coach Taft loves coaching, and it depends on what age you're talking with Coach Taft. But Coach Taft was successful when he didn't have anything to sell. Mm-hmm. Coach Taft was selling a dream, the blue sky, the dream, man, when he was there. You should have seen the facilities. But I think Coach Taft would have figured it out how to move forward in this era. Would he have been for it? I don't think so. But I think, the position you find yourself in, that guy was going to be successful in any era of coaching that he found himself in.
Can you imagine if he had today's facilities back then?
Dude. When I got to Baylor at Floyd Casey, I remember they were built the end zone facilities then, which is nothing now. And you should have saw the weight room. Mm-hmm. The weight room was on the side under the visitors' locker room, and you couldn't even get a quarter of the team in it. You probably could get 20 players in it, if that. And man, he had guys coming. He had Santanas. He had first-round draft choices like James Francis, Robert Blackman. But he got them there, and he got the most out of them.
So, yeah, and they just believed in him, right? He was a great salesman. There's no question. He had his faith, his mission of what he wanted. And was it really looking back at that? That's not the only school that didn't have great facilities back in the day, but was it almost in a way a miracle of how many different players he was getting on campus, the kind of players?
Now, I think Coach Taft knew it. He had a great staff. Pete Fredenberg, who won all those championships down at Mary Hart, he was there for many years. I know he wasn't the whole time, but the one thing Coach Taft knew, he knew how to develop players. He knew how to identify and develop. So he went to East Texas. He would get guys who were 5'9", 5'10", 140 pounds, but he knew he was going to put 50 pounds on them. And they'd still run a 4.2. He would get his requisite, Santana Dotson, James Francis, Robert Strait. But at the end of the day, what Coach Taft knew is when Coach Taft got in your home in front of your mom, he knew how to sell moms. He knew that if I get the mom, I got the player. And that's, I think his ability to do that, and him selling in your living room, I think it was unparalleled.
Yeah, he was amazing, and we've heard the stories. I don't know if it was Singletary who told the story about when he went to visit Baylor at Floyd Casey back in the day, and it was just like the weight room was like in a closet or something like that, kind of like you were describing it. Yeah, man, love the man to death. Hey, JJ, thank you very much. Appreciate your time, and we'll see you soon.
Thanks, guys. Take care.
JJ Joe, former Baylor quarterback, Baylor color analyst with us. Yeah. On 365 Sports. What would he been able to do with today's football facilities? Dude.
I remember asking Coach Taft one time, because he kind of told the story in general early on. That's when I used to have him on in the mornings on a Friday, and he would take calls from people and talk about things when he was at the AFCA. And I asked him one time, we were at a function, and I said, you mentioned something about the weight room being substandard, and he was candid about it, but he wouldn't give it all the details. But I said, what details? He said, well, I asked for some more money for the weight room and to expand it, and they just went out and bought him a Nautilus machine. Like one of those things you would have like a home gym. And
like I had at my high school.
Yeah. And so he was like, no. Like, he's like, Texas A&M, so like all these schools, they have like weight benches and squat racks and things like this. And you're coming to me with a Nautilus machine? Mm-hmm. Like, no, I don't need a new Nautilus machine. I need a weight room with weights in it because only 3 people can use this at a time, and it's not really helping them. We also, a Nautilus machine, even the best one, really only goes up to about 250 pounds of weights because it's designed for you to live in your house. When you've got guys who are linemen who are going to be bench pressing 300 pounds, a Nautilus machine does nothing for them. Nothing.
No.
So he was quite frustrated.
I would think that's back when you just got like a couple of broomsticks. You put concrete inside of big cans and you put them on each side of the broomstick or whatever you could find, a bar, and that's what you did when your weights.
Did he coach that long ago? God, it sounds like it was.
It was the early 90s. That's the other thing was like it was the early 90s or mid 90s when he retired. And
so when was the explosion of like weight rooms and all of that? Was that like mid 90s when all of that? I can't recall because I was a kid.
It wasn't even like theirs was so small. Like everyone else just had a normal looking weight room,
right?
And theirs was just really, like JJ said, is underneath. It was in some kind of weird, area underneath the locker room.
Well, it showed on the field more often than not.
And that's what he was talking about. Like he was able to fight through it a lot of years, but then it just got to the point where now the more TV money was coming in, the arms race is going on, and he's like, well, can we get just a weight room? And they fought him on every single thing he asked for.
Well, they're going to have a new one here, I guess, starting this summer. But in a matter of weeks, where are we on that? The opening of the new football center. So, they've come a long way since that time. And JJ sounds about like all of us, optimistic about the changes, but absolutely no clue whatsoever about what we're actually going to see on the field this year. I don't know how you possibly could know. I don't think Dave Aranda quite knows what to expect because you can't account for the human factor. And there's a lot of reasons to believe they'll be better. There's plenty of reasons to believe they'll be about the same. I don't think there's a ton to point them in the direction of being worse. I think that would be hard to be worse than they were last year. But I think it's a total crapshoot of how good they are this year. I think, it's all going to depend on the way the ball bounces for them and health. And I know that's everybody, but like they can't they can't afford to lose certain guys the way other programs probably can, because I just don't feel like they're built on as strong of a foundation as they were previously. But
everyone who's asked me how I think they're going to be, I'll tell them the same thing. If Dave Aranda had a checklist of things he needed to do in order to make the team better, he's at least checked off that list. But the thing is, will those things work?
Yeah.
Like, he's gone through and done that. I do think it's been probably a little bit harder with the offensive line, but that's the hardest thing to build in college football. And, knowing how hard they were going after guys so late in the portal cycle that were available offensive linemen leads me to a bit of concern on that side of the ball, but hopefully the scheme change will allow them to mask that a little bit better than the wide zone did.
Yeah, they got to get to a spot where moving into the future here where they know Dave Aranda's the coach or he's not, because I don't think he can do this every year. You're on the hot seat type of a thing. I know West Virginia's kind of done that the last couple of years with Neil Brown, and there's other examples of that being the case. But how do you build on that? How do you build when there's like, is he going to be here another 2 years or is he not going to be here another 2 years? And we kind of been doing that for like a year and a half now. And this year, I know will determine, but they got, I don't know. I don't know how else to explain it other than they got to get a foundation built and solidified. And is Dave Aranda the guy to do that? I still think so, but I totally understand those that have their reservations about it. But they're just in a weird no man's land right now where they're committed to him, but he could still be fired after this season if it's not good enough. And then where does that take? They're just in a weird spot, and not a spot that they should be in 2 years removed from now 3 years removed from a Big 12 title. They absolutely did not take advantage of that. That's goes without saying, but it really just it hammers home even more when you kind of see how they're floundering right now. And maybe they start swimming like Michael Phelps this season, but maybe they don't, and that's going to be a long road to take.
They're going to have multiple players step up and have transformed themselves in many different ways.
Do you want me to call him right now, or do you want us to break it?
Let's go to a break. To a break. We'll come back with a break.
They're
going to have multiple players be much better than we could expect. I'm talking on both sides of the offense and defensive side of the football. And on flawless special teams and a lot more. Maybe they do. All right, when we come back, Jackson Blackwell, who just committed to Baylor from Lorena High School, he will join us, and also Paul's Top 5 around the corner, and this is 365 Sports.
Richard Carr, Buick GMC Cadillac, they are the people you can count on right now. The hot summer savings on GMC and Buick and Cadillac is going on right now during the Richard Carr Summer Savings Event. You may have heard the new Cadillac Lyriq electric vehicle is turning heads, and if you haven't heard that, now you have. Incredible acceleration and ride, and the new Cadillac Lyriq EV is no common EV, but a vehicle that stands out. If you want to upgrade from your everyday EV to a Cadillac Lyriq, you can save big and get thousands extra off on your EV trade-in right now over at Richard Carr Cadillac. Meanwhile, if you're just going to go the premium pre-owned car and truck route, well, they've got a bunch of vehicles on the lot right now to take full advantage of when it comes to the pre-owned cars, trucks, and SUVs. Over 100 highly inspected vehicles. Check out the inventory online and come make them an offer. 100% credit approval is always their goal, as they say yes when others say no. So whether it's taking a look at the great dealings on the new Cadillac Lyriq EV models, or it's taking a look at those pre-owned models on the lot, Richard Carr is loaded up. And for 25 years in Central Texas, they have been the people that you can count on for your automotive needs. Log on to richardcarr.com today for more details, or go see them now off Highway 6 at the Imperial exit.
It was broad daylight. I stepped into a gas station for 5 minutes to grab a snack, and just like that, my car was broken into. They made out like a bandit. My laptop, my phone, everything. I called my agent to see what could be done, and he restored my faith in humanity. My claim was processed so quickly, and I was able to recover my losses.
Stop by and see our agents at one of our 3 McLennan County locations.
Coverage and discounts are subject to qualifications and policy terms and may vary by situation.
Thank you for calling your local Marco's Pizza. We're turning up the heat with our new Reaper Cheesy Bread. Fresh, house-made dough is topped with a spicy cheese blend infused with jalapeno, habanero, and Carolina Reaper peppers. At only $5.99, this limited-time product is a hot deal. Add it to your order while you can. A Marco's team member will be with you shortly.
Marco's Pizza. Pizza lovers get it, and that offer on the Reaper Cheesy Bread is available right now at any of the 5 Marco's Pizza locations in Waco, including Belmead, China Spring, Robinson, Woodway, and Hewitt. Order online at marcos.com. Call for a pickup or delivery. Marco's Pizza is turning up the heat with their all-new Reaper Cheesy Bread with fresh, hot, house-made dough topped with a spicy cheese blend infused with jalapeno, habanero, and Carolina Reaper peppers, and only $5.99 and for a limited time only. Marco's Pizza, the fastest-growing pizza brand in America, 5 locations in Waco, and the new Reaper Cheesy Bread. Marco's Pizza. Pizza lovers get it.
Established in 2007 and independently owned, Alliance Bank Central Texas is committed to helping families and businesses meet their financial goals. From their tellers to their board of directors, they know the importance of superior service and competitive products. Customers have confidence knowing that their financial needs are in good hands. It's your bank, Alliance Bank Central Texas, with 2 Waco locations, 4721 Bosque Boulevard and 191 Archway Drive on Highway 84, and at AllianceBankTexas.com. Member FDIC and Equal Housing Lender.
Stepping into a new pair of boots is great, but stepping into the boots of a U.S. Army officer can also add confidence and leadership skills to your son or daughter's career path. There are more than 150 occupational specialties to help them find the best fit for their future. See all the things your son or daughter can achieve in our boots at GoArmy.com. U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, 254-598-8131 or 254-776-1543.
This is 365 Sports, powered by Sikkim365.com. Enjoying the show? Hit the like button and subscribe.
Paul Catalina's Top 5 just around the corner. This is 365 Sports. David Smoke, along with Paul Catalina and Craig Smoke. Today, Garrett Ross, Jack McKenzie, Emery Winter running the mothership. And as we announced on Friday, we went past the 50,000 subscriber mark and now headed towards the next level. We're now joined by Lorena defensive lineman, senior to be Jackson Blackwell, who just a few minutes ago committed to play his football at Baylor, and boy, do they need that position, and they also need guys like Jackson Blackwell. Jackson, thanks for your time. Kind of take me through the recruitment process, because it seems like it's blown up for you, and in the end, why did you commit to Baylor?
Well, I just want to say first off, thank you for having me on the show. I've always listened to it, so it's been a privilege being on here, so I appreciate it. But I would say this recruiting process has been it's just been a whirlwind ever since the Under Armour camp. I mean, getting MVP from there, and it all kind of took off. I mean, literally the next day, Baylor, Houston, and Tech all called me and offered me. So it's been a whirlwind and pick up offers since and visiting people, but it's been a blast, and I've had an amazing time.
This is a segment brought to you by Richard Carr Motors, Baylor Bear Hotline with Jackson Blackwell, who's committed to Baylor from Lorena High School.
Jackson, obviously things are crazy in the recruiting world. Are you shutting it down completely now? Completely. You are Baylor 100%, no matter what.
I'd say so. I think my family and I, we thought about it for a very long time, prayed about it, and we took it as a step to where we need to be committed to one school and not talk to anybody else or not show much interest in anyone else. So I think from now on, Baylor all the way.
Jackson, what was the appeal of playing close to home? How big did that factor into your decision that your family can be right around the corner practically and be able to come watch your games?
It played a pretty big factor. I mean, growing up, I'd always been a Baylor fan and I always loved them. But I did take Baylor the same way it took every school. What their culture like, what the coaches like, every school I evaluated the same way, and Baylor came out on top. So it was awesome being hometown. That's an added bonus. That was pretty big, so I'm thankful for that.
How often did you talk to Jaden Porter about his, of course, entry at Baylor and maybe just discussing that with him?
I haven't actually talked to him too much. I mean, I've had a little bit of talk to him here and there, what the process is like with him. But I haven't really been in much contact with him, but I do know that he's having a great time and he's enjoying it there and he thinks he made the right decision.
When did you have your growth spurt to be someone, 6'3" or so, 300+ pounds?
Growth spurt. I've always been constantly growing since I was born, but I don't think I really had a growth spurt. I just gradually kept on growing, kept on working, grinding, and got my way to here.
What are you looking forward to most about learning the defense, about this type of defense that they play?
I'm looking forward to seeing how they do it in game. I mean, they brought in a new D-line coach, Coach Noakes, and he's a guy that seems like he knows what he's doing, just came from Washington, so he knows what he's doing. And then Coach Pallage, new defense coordinator, I love that guy. I think he knows what he's doing also, and I can't wait to see what they do this season.
Jackson, who did you talk to most? I think you probably just mentioned a couple of the coaches that you probably talked to for the most part, but how did the Baylor relationship sort of start, and how has it developed, and just the people you've gotten to know that have been important a part of this process?
So the first time I went to Baylor camp as a recruit was my 8th grade year, so about 3-4 years ago. And they had known me ever since. They knew who I was, and they were from the area, the community, and then just gradually kept on growing to what it is now.
What was the first discussion like that you had with Dave Aranda, and what was the reaction when you called Baylor and told them you were committing?
So with Coach Aranda, he's always very open. He's honest. He'll tell you his opinion and what he thinks, and which I appreciate that a lot about someone if they give me their honest opinion and feedback. But, I mean, the coaches, they were ecstatic. They were like, let's go. We got the guy that we needed. And I know they needed me a lot, but I appreciate them for, showing me a lot of interest. That always helps to recruit. But I think I have a firm relationship with most of the coaching staff, so I enjoy it.
So you're listed just kind of generally as a defensive lineman, but more specifically, what do you anticipate as far as the position and just kind of how you'll be used at the next level?
Yes, sir. So Coach Noakes told me that he'll use me about 50% at the one technique nose guard and then 50% at the 3. They'll figure it out more down the line as they get more comfortable closer to it. But they said they're going to use me a lot because they don't have too many people in the D-line room. So I look forward to the work. It'll be good.
Jackson, when players commit and we have them on, and of course things change quite a bit over the years on really recruiting in general with the 2 different signing days or whatever, we ask them what next. Do you get to decompress? I don't know if you're one of those that does that. What do you do now for the rest of the summer? And was this a plan always to maybe get this locked in before you get deep in the summer?
Yes, sir. So we had always thought, hey, when's the right date to commit? When should we commit? How should we commit? And all that. And I always thought July 1st was a good day because it was right before all the summer workouts at school started back up and right before our family vacation that we always do. So I kind of always want to get my commitment out the way before all that happens because I didn't want to go in season and not have a decision made and be focused on college football where I had to focus on my high school football. I think my teammates, my coaches right now matter first. And then we talk about college later. But right now it matters about high school football. And right now I'm flipping the page to my senior season, last season, going to go all out, and then go to college. So I always put right now first and then the future second.
When I see pictures of you, it looks like, obviously you're strong as an ox. And I've read some of the stats and some of the things you've done as far as weights you've lifted. So let's say you go off the ranch for a little bit and you want to just eat something that normally is not good for you, but you like to eat it. What would it be?
Well, I'll give you an example today. I mean, literally today I went to Dave's Burger Bar and tried a zipper ripper challenge, which I somehow got successful at it. Ate it all. So I probably said that. Yes, sir. I did finish it under 12 minutes, so I'd probably say that.
You finished it in under 12 minutes.
It was not easy, but got it done. I always wanted to do it. I always wanted to try it, so I got the win with that today.
How are you alive?
A whole lot of fluids. Got to drink a lot.
Yeah, I don't envy you later, Jackson.
Have you done it, Paul? Have you eaten it?
I've been to Dave's when somebody did it, and I watched them nearly pass out because it is a gigantic. How many patties on the burger, Jackson?
Yeah, so it's 5 patties, 5 slices of cheese with all the vegetables, and then a pound of fries.
Yeah.
The patties were easy. It was the fries. Those are hard.
Yeah, a pound of fries.
Gets dry, right?
Yeah.
Wait a minute.
It just gets bland at the halfway point. It just wasn't fun.
Is this like Joey Chestnut eating hot dogs or whatever?
And under 12 minutes, too.
Oh, my
No, Joey Chestnut's totally different level. He ate about five. I mean, what he eats at the 4th of July contest, I mean, it's 5 times more than what I ate. We roughly calculate that. So I don't know how he does it.
Yeah, and he can't do it this year because he promoted a different hot dog brand. So he's going to have a what is it, Kobayashi? Is that right?
Yeah, they're
sometime in September, whatever. So, okay, Jackson, when you ate this, did you take the bread off first and eat each patty separately, or do you just like take it in your mouth and go?
Yeah, so I separate the patties from each other, let them cool off, and I ate them probably 1.5, 2 at a time separately, and then I went straight to the fries. I like how we're talking about this on the recruiting line. It's pretty funny.
Hey. Well, I had no idea that you had done that today. And I asked a question. I just would like to know kind of like your diet or whatever, even though you're a big boy. And you're the one that gave up some secrets.
Yeah.
That to me means you could chow it down. Do you what is your workout routine? I know you got to go and we need to go too, but let's say tomorrow morning you get up early. What do you do? What kind of take us through a normal day during the summer for you?
Okay, it's a normal day. Usually, summer-wise, I wake up, I go in the cold tub, I sit there for about 2-3 minutes. It wakes me up, it makes me feel good. Head straight to the gym, workout with my dad and my brother for about 45 to an hour-ish. Head straight to the boxing gym. We do striking and kicking. That's what we usually do. Then we have the afternoon off. In the evening, I usually work with Jackson Player at Midway at their indoor facility at Midway, and we all use football workouts there. So that's usually my normal day in the summer.
And he does a lot of almost, I'm not saying martial arts, but with his hands, right? Does he teach you a lot of the hand work?
Yes, sir, absolutely. He is a wizard when it comes to moves on the D-line and what adjustments and angles and all the little details he's a master at. So most of the stuff that I get, that's from him. Right. I mean, just right here, right there.
All
Great guy.
Well, good luck. Congratulations on the decision. Thanks for jumping in. And, hey, by the way, even better that you've watched what we do and listened to what we do, so that's even better. So thank you so much for that.
Oh, definitely. Yes, sir. Thank you for having me on. I appreciate it a lot. I had a blast with this.
We did, too. We'll talk to you again. Jackson Blackwell, 6 foot, 300 plus?
I could take him.
Yeah. I don't know if I could move. The other day, after playing a round of golf, I think it was on Saturday at Ridge, it was Bear Ridge, I'm going to have myself a double cheeseburger. Not much on it. A little bit of ketchup, mustard, some of the veggies, and it got me.
Yeah.
Because I don't eat that kind of food that much anyway. But I wanted to, I needed to enjoy that and have 5 or 6 of those patties.
And a pound of fries.
Yeah.
A pound. I look at him, and it gives me – I remember my last high school football game, and I had to block a guy that's about that size. And the first, 2 or 3 plays, my coach had got me psyched up, watching the film. Listen, this guy has no effort. He's not really – but I remember reading about him in the paper, and this guy was going to Penn State. And I was like, Coach, I don't know. I mean, I was intimidated. And he's like, look, sometimes when you see how big he is, clearly Paterno thinks that he can, mold this lump of mud into something. And I thought, okay, all right, whatever. So first 3 plays, I pop off the line and knock this guy in the dirt. And I'm like, oh my God, he really is just big. He has no technique. And then he got mad. And my life was hell the whole time, to the point where I was blaming getting rolled on other people missing a block. And finally I had to go tell our quarterback, I'm sorry you're getting your ass kicked, but this guy is rabid. I think he's got rabies. He's foaming at the mouth and he's going to die. And he was that big, Jackson big.
Well, he's going to Penn State, for God's sake.
Yeah, I know.
But
it was
the story.
Our offensive line coach just had it in my head, yeah, don't worry about it. It's all a myth. And I remember walking over to the coach going, bruised and going, it's not a myth, man.
No, it's a real deal. Yeah. And you lied to me.
Yeah, you lied.
All right. Thank you very much for Jackson being a part of the show. Hope you've enjoyed what we've done. We're not done. We still have much more to come. Don't forget tonight at 10:30, Emery Winters dialing up and editing, doing his magic for 365 Sports tonight on the local CW. Paul Catalina and the Top 5 is next.
Make this the summer of Dodge at Allen Samuels in Waco. Drive away in a 2023 Dodge Charger or Challenger RT with $13,000 off MSRP, or the powerful Charger GT and save $10,000. Get a stunning 495 horsepower Scat Pack for an amazing $9,000 off MSRP. Plus, enjoy 90 days to make your first payment. That's 90 days with no payments. Hurry into Allen Samuels in Waco.
Come by. Let's be friends.
At Ideal MRI, we feel blessed to be a part of the Waco community. We're a small family business right here in Central Texas, and our goal is to bring down the cost of healthcare while maintaining high quality. At times like this, the cost of healthcare has never been more important, and unfortunately, significant illnesses and injuries still occur. That's why Ideal MRI is open and here to serve you through the difficult time. We offer premium MRIs just like a hospital with state-of-the-art technology and specialists, but you'll pay less. Sometimes thousands of dollars less, whether you're using insurance or not. At Ideal MRI, we accept most insurance and there are no hidden costs. Even offering financing if that's needed, everything included in the price, and you'll not get something as a surprise in the mail later on. If you need an MRI, ask your doctor about Ideal MRI. They'll know. You can schedule an appointment safely from home online in minutes at idealmri.com or give us a call, 833-IDEAL-MRI, idealmri.com.
TFNB Your Bank for Life is the official local bank of Baylor Athletics. Find out why more Central Texas are making TFNB their bank for life. Sign up for our Edge checking and savings accounts to earn interest or cash back. With 5 convenient locations and an award-winning mobile app, banking has never been easier. TFNB Your Bank for Life. Member FDIC.
You want to know why Stonewood Dental is so successful? Listen to what happy customers have to say.
Pleasant. It's different than any other dentist's office. I really feel like they care. And it's not that you're here for 2 hours waiting on someone to take care of you. It's quick and easy, and I bring my kids, and my kids love being here too. They really love the treasure box. Staff is really nice and accommodating, real friendly. You feel more like home. It's not sterile looking. Everybody has their own personalized rooms with decorations and decor, and they'll even have a blanket for you when it's cold. I've recommended people to actually come here, and they are patients now. I really love it here. It feels like family.
Learn more, stonewood-dental.com.
It's time for Paul Catalina's Top 5, brought to you by Texas Beef House. Where's the best beef in Texas? Your house when you order from Texas Beef House. Unleash the flavor of Texas-raised Wagyu. From our pasture to your plate, TexasBeefHouse.com.
Xin chào. That's hello in Vietnamese. I just learned that 10 seconds ago. As we started the top 5 today, brought to you by Texas Beef House. Please use promo code SICK'EM10 when you go there to save 10% off of your first order. Today, it's Realignment Day, so top 5 things SEC fans should get used to. And look, I'm going to tell you, the first time you go to Norman, Oklahoma, you are going to hear Boomer Sooner so much that you'll be in the shower, you'll be brushing your teeth, you'll be going, it's constant. It is the By Menon. I don't know if you remember that jingle from the 90s, By Menon. It is that of college football chants. Boomer Sooner, and the song will crawl into your head. It is the brainworm to end all brainworms. It's a fun place to be. I'm not knocking it. I'm just warning you that, hey, I'm excited. I'm going to go for Kentucky and Oklahoma and Norman. And then you'll be at your hotel that night. You're taking a shower and you're going, it's going to happen to you. It happens to me every time I go to Norman. And it's going to happen to me today because I just did it. So you're welcome for suffering that for you. Number 4, everyone's dream is to live in Austin. This is something we have heard from Texas fans for years, and Alabama fans are familiar with this because For a long time, the narrative was, look, Nick Saban and his Miss Terry have always wanted to live in Austin, Texas. It's their dream to live in Austin. Austin is everybody's dream city. It is not. It's a fun city, it's fine, but it's gotten way too overcrowded, and I promise you, it is not everyone's dream city. But believe me, if you have a coach that is at the upper echelon of their sport, the Texas fans will tell you that even though they maybe only went to Austin one time at a coaching convention, since that 3-day pull, they have always wanted to live there, and they have a place in Bee Cave or whatever that they've always loved. Lake Travis is beautiful, and that's their real serene spot. That's what you're going to hear. I could give you a very recent example. It happened, when did it happen? Oh, last week when Jim Schlossnagle left College Station to go to Austin. It was one of the first things that popped up was like, well, Austin's better than College Station. Before he's working for his best friend. He's been working on this for months. But you're going to hear that a lot. Everyone's dream is to live in Austin, Texas. Number 3, the Aggies being pissed off all of the time. Look, I come from Aggie stock. I understand how it works. I cannot convey to you how much my Aggie family is upset about Texas being back in this league. They are so mad about it. They were happy to be away. It's kind of like, you ever have a guy that's like a nice guy at work, and you're like, oh man, Devin's the greatest. And then all of a sudden, say a new guy, we'll call him Mark, comes to work there. And you're like, man, Devin's really being a dick lately. And it's like, yeah, Devin doesn't like Mark. He doesn't like that Mark's here. Devin knew Mark from before, and they didn't get along at their last job. So now Devin is totally unproductive and angry all the time and focuses all his energy on trying to, torpedo Mark's life. That's what Texas A&M is going to be, and they knew they were going to be it, which is why when this happened, they were like, please don't do this to us. We didn't like the person we were before, and now you're just going to bring it back in. So they're going to be pissed off all the time. Just wait for the meetings. Number 2, a lot of stuff in Dallas. Already SEC media days. Texas and Oklahoma have a way of talking you into going to Dallas. Now, it works for most of the Big 12. It's the easiest place for all the original members to get to. And it's easy for the Southeast Conference members to get there too. But you're going to start seeing things pop up in Dallas that were not there before. And it's not just going to be like this year. It's like, oh, we're going to do SEC Media Days in Dallas because it's the first year of Texas and Oklahoma, so we're going to do it in Dallas. Oh, no. You're going to be in Dallas a lot. Find your favorite restaurants. Find the good barbecue places. You're going to know Dallas well. Figure out if you want to fly Southwest into Love or American into DFW. These are things you need to know. So you're going to be in Dallas a lot. A lot. The football championship game may never get there, but the basketball championship, Nashville, you watch yourself. You watch yourself right now. If you slip up for 1 second, you beautiful, wonderful city, Nashville, if you slip up for 1 second, these guys are coming for your basketball tournament. I promise you that. Just know it. Baseball, you're going to play a lot of games here, and you won't even know why. Like all of a sudden, oh, look, all of our teams are playing series in Dallas. How did that happen? You're going to be in Dallas a lot. And number 1, the feeling that this is happening quite a bit. You're just going to be like, I don't get why all of a sudden this is happening. I don't know who they think they are. This is the SEC. We all do things together. That's not what they think. This is how they think. This is how they treated the whole Big 12, the whole Southwest Conference. Everything they've ever been involved in, this is what they think. And as much as some of them may pop on angry at me saying, no, that's not how we do it. We didn't break up this conference. Well, they technically didn't, but they tried to 2 times. So, if you don't want this to happen to you, make sure you stand up to them early. Otherwise, it'll be appeasement. And we know from history, appeasement never works. Don't be this guy. Don't do it. That is what happened here in the Big 12. A lot. A ton. I will let the picture speak for itself. That is the top 5. We're back to wrap it up right now.
I don't know. I mean, that picture?
My Google history is wrecked now just for that joke. Like when you put in 2 cows banging, I mean, like now I'm on a watch list.
How long did it take for you to say 2 cows banging?
I'd put longhorns mating, longhorn breeding, and then.
Wait a minute, can longhorns mate?
I mean, that's what I picked.
I know.
Because, and people ask me, why didn't I put something? I wasn't going to make a graphic because then I didn't want to be on another list. But I just wanted to find a picture of the natural process of it. And now I'm sure that I'm flagged somehow.
Well, I will say this. There is no doubt in my mind that there are already behind-the-scenes movement, working politics, that they will gain. There will be some turf won. Mm-hmm. Not just entering the conference and saying, thank you for allowing us to be here. There's already in the works just some kind of, okay, we'll take this and we'll take this, and they'll do it, and you don't even know it. You don't even know it. All right, well done, Garrett. Thank you very much. Welcome back. Emery Winter, thank you. Jack McKenzie. This is a new setup for me. I was in that chair coming off of surgery, and then we went back to the set. Paul then left. And this is very well done by Jack.
Yes.
I mean, I can get used to this.
It's made of beech wood that he reclaimed on his journey.
It's very, very well done. It's very sturdy, and the level, the eyesight, all of that, the angles are fantastic. Thank you, Jack. Thank you to those in the chat room, those who are also watching us by the way, on Twitter. We get a lot of now viewers on 365 Sports YT. And thanks to Paul and Craig, I'm David Smoke. Thanks to you and our great sponsors. Good night on 365 Sports.